We are
Woo.
recording now.
Uh-oh.
All right.
And let's see here. I think here's the link to the live stream if you can't find it in your subscription boxes.
Yeah, it's not popping up. I usually get a notification.
Oh yeah.
Well, it goes right.
Everyone's
I have the
complaining about that
bell.
YouTube thing, so.
I got the bell thing.
See, I've never really had that problem. I don't click the bell, but I still get notified when everyone goes live. So maybe it's because I'm not subscribed to 1,000 people. So
I actually have no idea how many subscriptions I'm.
yeah,
It's a lot. It's probably up around 80.
Yeah, I still see a lot of people complaining about YouTube, like, not letting them make as much money and stuff, but my thought is always just be grateful you were given the opportunity in the first place. That way you don't have to have a real job. You
And figure out how to game the system. I mean, what?
Yeah. All right,
Can we cut that?
Alright, so the games will be
cut it,
amazing.
it's live.
Hey guys, I hope some info on Smash is coming. Alright, we got 27 people watching. That'll continue to go up as we get through the intro. But are you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
We need to
I'm
get
ready.
double Axle off there. Let's see.
What?
It has like 2 U's. I don't know. I don't understand.
It does have 2 axles.
Yeah.
Weird.
If you open the street, there's a big
Double
No,
axle.
like if you look right now, there is. Oh, now it's a ghost Daniel just floating around.
Whoa, I'm a ghost.
All right.
I'm a ghost.
We probably lost like 10 subscribers because of that.
Oh man! Like what a crap
So
channel.
lost.
Oh yeah, okay, I see.
Alright, it looks like everything is running properly. The laptop isn't overheating too bad. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Yes.
Kind of nervous.
I'm nervous too.
Your face.
Yeah.
There's one.
That's where he is nervous.
No, funny story. Because
face
you were
is a
talking
funny
about
story.
counting your face jokes when we were previously talking about. I was trying to get Amanda to join the podcast on the Zelda mailbag that her and I used to do on my channel. She had hiccups really bad.
This Amanda or the other Amanda?
The other one.
Zelda Universe Amanda. She had hiccups really bad. So
okay.
every time
Oh,
she
I
would
remember
do a
that,
hiccup,
yeah.
I would put like a blooper on the thing.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of it was like all the bloopers where her and Simon would like mess up on their stuff. They probably hated me for that, but
Yeah.
I thought
Well,
it
no,
was
bloopers are great.
Those are the best though.
yeah. Especially Simon's because he was trying to answer the smart questions. I put that in quotes. All right, we're ready. Are you guys ready?
Questions.
do
Yeah.
it.
All right. Oh gosh.
I'm gonna take a post-it note here.
You've been
And every
live.
time,
Psych yourself up. Slap yourself in the face.
but every time Axel does your face joke, I know
Yeah,
just
slap
like,
yourself
put
in the face every time.
Yeah.
I'll
just-
slap
Every time I put a
myself
tally
in the face.
mark, but sure, I'll just slap myself every time. My face, ah!
All right. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as you all may know me, and here with me for the very first time is MandyleePlays. Did I get that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So
Hi.
yes, and joining us for the second time is AxleTheBeast, formerly of Zelda Dungeons Curiosity Shop, Zelda Mailbag, which inspired our own Zelda Mailbag. And as always, Daniel.
Hello.
Your face is Daniel.
Yeah.
Ah!
All right. It is Sunday, March 25th, and we are on episode 23 of the Hylian's Gamescast, where we will be discussing some potential leaked games coming from the Switch that some data miners found. We are going to be talking about Splatoon's beta. There was an interview where a lot of interesting information was released, and finally Fortnite is taking over schools. Then we will move to our topics of discussion. This week we have 2 talking about our top 5 most emotional moments in Zelda and top 5 ways to improve the next Zelda, before ending it all with our Zelda mailbag. Now, we may not be able to go through all of the questions, but Daniel, if they want to have their question answered on the show, but we have too many, what is a way they can guarantee their question gets featured?
There is no way. No, you can go to patreon.com. Go find Jesse on Patreon. And with a little bit of patronage, we will make sure your question is priority. And often it will be the episode title when we upload the edited, not live version
Your
of
face
the podcast.
Alright, so play a little game here during the podcast. Everybody keep count. We'll give away some sort of reward. I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll do something.
Don't know what.
Keep track of how many face slaps Daniel gets and how many your face jokes Axel does. But as I mentioned earlier, our very first guest, or well, our guest on here for the very first time, I should say. Go ahead and introduce yourself for those who may not know who you are, Mandy.
Hi, my name is Amanda, or you could just call me Mandy. I have a YouTube page, or a YouTube channel, which is MandyleePlays, and I cover a bunch of gaming stuff. I'm not really a channel that's focused on like one specific gaming thing or anything. So yeah, I'm active on Twitter a lot, so you can reach me there at MandyleePlays also.
Alright.
And yeah,
Awesome.
that's it.
And what started your YouTube channel? What was your inspiration behind wanting to do YouTube?
Pretty much it was just seeing other YouTubers do it and how they liked it and stuff like that. And yeah.
Alright.
And so I wanted to express everything that I say on Twitter in a video, so I just made a channel.
Alright. And what are some of your videos that you are the most proud of at the moment?
The video I'm most proud of, I don't even know.
Proud of your face.
I'm proud of a lot of my videos, but I guess my top 5 monsters in Monster Hunter World, because I did some like editing, then I tried out editing more, so.
Alright. And what are some of your hopes for the near future of your YouTube channel? Do you have a certain goal that you would like to reach with views or subscribers? A certain video you would like to put out that you have in mind that you want to work on? Anything like that?
I want to get to 200 subscribers. I have 199.
199?
It's a very
One
reasonable goal.
person in the chat.
Yes.
I mean,
Everyone,
Yeah, I'll be
subscribe
that
now.
guy. I'll go over right now.
everyone search up MandyleePlays. Yes, RPG just posted your...
Yes.
Thank you, RPG.
Woo! RPG.
Thank you.
Yeah, so go subscribe to her. See if we can get her to 300 before the podcast ends.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
That's
Do it.
we already have people.
There's only 37 people watching, but
Yeah.
do it anyways.
Well,
Well, thank you.
there'll be like 1,000, maybe 2,000 that watches the edited version. So
Oh wow.
yeah, there'll be a lot of people. The moderators are timing out each other. What? All right. Anyways, there's some fun going on in the chat. Everybody watching the edited version on YouTube, you could be part of the fun too. Just check out the podcast live. So, I was thinking, we had you on before for an interview, brief interview, Axel. But you your status on YouTube has recently changed. So now there is more of a focus on your own YouTube channel.
Right.
So thinking about that, why don't you go ahead and let people know what they can find on your channel as well?
So I used to do exclusively Zelda videos on Zelda Dungeons channel, and I would run the weekly mailbag where I would just answer questions about the Zelda series. But now that I'm no longer going to be on Zelda Dungeons YouTube channel, I will be moving all of my Zelda content to my normal channel, which is just AxleTheBeast, I believe. And basically, I will be uploading... I mean, I'm kind of just trying to figure out what videos I want to do a lot of, but I do a lot of discussion videos about video games and various topics, and I will be doing the mailbag over there. Very likely it's not going to remain Zelda-specific, but more like I'll have a Zelda episode every month, and then just do whatever questions, Zelda or otherwise, on other weeks of the month. And I'll be branching out more to lots of different series, but other than Zelda, I even want to get into anime at some point, I think. So.
Yeah, and Dragon Ball Super just ended, so.
Right.
That was like.
So now would be an awful time to talk about what I don't like about Dragon Ball. But
don't like. What?
Oh yeah, Dragon Ball's fine, but there's okay. I'll just say this: the Dragon Ball manga is fantastic. There's no question, masterpiece. I don't think there's any good adaptation, any good anime adaptation. I haven't seen much of Super yet, so I can't comment on that. But the original anime is just like it's a messy rendition of the manga, is my opinion of it.
Wowzer.
Granted, I've only seen the American dub, so it's maybe some of the problems are dub specific.
All right, and we just lost a guest on the podcast.
Oh no!
They're like, I'm out. This guy hates Dragon Ball. I'm out. You're not allowed to have an opinion.
No,
I should clarify Dragon Ball Z. The original Dragon Ball is great.
Yeah. No, I was just joking. Everyone has their opinions.
Yeah. Of course.
What is this?
Yeah, I don't.
Someone
people love Dragon Ball, and that's
content
fine. I can see
request.
why.
I've never been super into it. I used to watch Dragon Ball Z, but I never watched the original Dragon Ball. I haven't watched Dragon Ball Super. I'm just a pleb, living in a pleb's world.
I'll have to watch Super, though. It's weird now, because now that everyone's talking about Dragon Ball again, I have no idea what they're talking about. Universe something or other. Who are all these characters? Apparently Master Roshi is strong now or something.
What?
Like he's been fighting the main bad guy or something. I don't even know what's going on. I think I would watch Super at this point just so I can understand Dragon Ball.
I don't know.
I used to know Dragon Ball discussion, and now I don't, and I'm just like...
To me, after 23 weeks of doing this podcast.
This one doesn't count, but your face is a mod in the chat.
Oh,
All
no.
right.
Yeah, it doesn't count. We're not live.
We are live now. All right.
Uh-oh.
I hope.
Oh, no. Oh,
yes. No. We're back.
Oh, no.
And I'm a mod.
All right. So,
Face is a mod.
Woohoo.
Axel, just as we asked Mandy, are there any projects that you are currently working on or plan to work on that you are excited about?
I'm going to try to get into doing like a semi-regular kind of Let's Play of just like a first impressions series of indie games. Like everyone else, I have a massive Steam library I've not even touched, so there's a lot of content to come forward on that. And at some point in the next couple of weeks, I want to do a video about the much talked about Devilman Crybaby anime, because I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Is that real?
And
that's a real name?
Yeah, that's the actual name.
I thought that was a meme.
Interesting.
No, it's a real series. That's what it's called. There's a lot of memes about it, but yeah, I thought I think it gets praised a little more than it deserves.
Oof.
Let me put it this way: Dragon Ball Z is much better, in my opinion, than Devilman Crybaby.
What are your thoughts on Yu Yu Hakusho?
Oh, I love it to death. I actually have been rewatching clips of that a lot recently, and I've been like really itchy to watch it again, like unbelievably so. Full disclosure, I watched the Yusuke's funeral scene a week or two ago and actually just started crying. Like I just full on cried for like 10 minutes.
Aww.
So sad.
Yeah.
Sad Axel.
I first watched it when I was like 10, I guess, and it was just on TV, and I stumbled across it, and it was a few episodes of the first season. and
Yeah.
I didn't really know what it was called, but I remembered that I loved it. I just didn't know
Yeah.
what it was. And then, like, 10 years later, I figured out what it was and
Boom!
rewatched all of it. And then a few years later, I rewatched all of it again. So, very...
On that note, if you haven't asked me yet, but I'll just self-insert a question. If I was going to talk about my goals for my YouTube channel, it
Yeah.
would be to find out what those 2 shows I watched as a kid. Like, I want to get so famous on YouTube, I can just ask, there was this scene from this show, there was these
3 by 3
and,
eyes.
Yeah, and people... No. And your face is 3 by 3 eyes.
Oy.
But if I could just...
Sorry, I was late on that one.
Yeah, you were. If I could just get enough traffic to be able to ask, what was this show? And people tell me, that's it, I will just quit YouTube.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, everyone, we all know how to get Axel to quit. The time, the time to act is now. Please make him stop so I can stop slapping myself in the face.
You could just go super light, just be like...
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that.
You actually.
It's just not fun. You don't get that great that sound. That's an
You can
IOU
rely on
slap.
me for the
So
slap. So, ow.
there you go.
You guys are
Anyway, that's all.
All right. So, Daniel, what are your hopes
Yes.
for your YouTube channel?
One of these
Here's
days
the
I
interview
should
you
post
asked
on it.
for.
I should post on it one of these days. But you know, I've been doing just this mostly, so I don't think I have any specific hopes. No, I just like it would be amazing to actually make enough money off of it where I can like just focus more on it as well. Maybe work like a part-time day job instead of full-time at the big bank. But I don't know, Jesse. I shouldn't have asked for an interview. I have no good answers.
All right. Well, I think we are ready to move on to our first piece of
Yes.
news. All right. So someone in the chat a minute ago said that if you wanted to donate, and then they posted my link to Streamlabs, I recommend doing the super chat and not Streamlabs. So just a heads up for the people that do choose.
Donate a super chat.
Yes, and just like last week on the podcast, we will immediately read out and answer whatever question or statement or whatever is written in the super chat, like Gibbs telling us to hire Kayla.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ironically, Kayla's off getting an actual job right now instead of being here. But
I also want to apologize because I forgot to read off the list of Patreon supporters. Daniel mentioned earlier, part of being a Patreon is you guarantee your question to be answered on the show and to get shout outs, to be a part of discussion videos, and much more. This week's Patreon supporters are Megan Nill, Casey, Rusty Caulfield, Link Used the Triforce, Tight-Lipped Gaming, Robbie Morgan, Shadow to Us, Lovable Christie, Daniel's favorite, Key of Time 15, Lunarium, Michelle Jones, Ashley, Monica, Justin, and The One.
You know the one.
Oh, Gus.
no.
Gus is
The
in
One.
the chat, but Gus wasn't on the list. I need to update the list.
Gus!
Shout out to Gus in the chat, who has something special coming up at the very end of the video. So yeah, our first piece of news. There are tons of potential leaks. This comes from Uber Gizmo, a website I have never heard of before. It says Nintendo Switch data mine reveals Pokemon remasters and Zelda games. This comes via letsplayvideogames.com. I believe they are who this website is sourcing. But they summarized, so I went with this one because it's a lot less to read out. They say, so with a Nintendo Direct and Indie Showcase out of the way, it seems that we already know what games for the Nintendo Switch have been confirmed. But what about the ones that are still in the works? Obviously, those haven't been announced, but a recent data mine might have revealed some potential new titles. The data mine was shared with the folks at letsplayvideogames.com, although they note that the data was actually posted on Reddit about a month ago, but there wasn't much response about it. According to Let'sPlayVideoGames.com, what makes the data mine seem somewhat credible is the fact that games such as Mario Tennis Aces and Mark of the Ninja Remastered were part of it, both of which have since been officially confirmed by Nintendo themselves. Also based on the data mine, it appears that there could be several Pokemon remasters headed to the Switch, such as Pokemon Chemical and Nuclear. Given that the Switch is expected to get its own Pokemon RPG in the near future, we wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo were to bring older Pokemon games onto the Switch as well. The data
don't really
mine
sound like Pokemon remasters.
Yeah. The data mine also hints at Zelda remasters like Spirit Tracks HD, as well as a new title called A Link Across Islands, which seems to be similar in a similar vein to other titles like A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. There also seems to be mention of Overwatch and Fortnite Battle Royale, but since all of this isn't official information, it should be taken with a grain of salt for now. That is the most overused line in all of everything.
Just a rumor so far.
Your face is the most overused line.
The grain of salt thing is the most overused.
Mm-hmm. I'm guilty of saying it myself.
Yeah. I thought you were saying that Fortnite and Overwatch might be coming to the Switch was the most overused line.
What's interesting though is if you follow the source website, which is Let's Play Video Games, it notes on their site that there were some other titles originally posted with the Reddit posts that was like posted a month ago, including games such as Mark of the Ninja, Mario Tennis, Sonic Mania, Division 2, and Undertale, all of which have been announced. So there is it adds a bit more credence to the claims, I guess, would be where I'm going. But, it is still nothing confirmed, so...
Well, yeah, especially since I think Mario Tennis and Mark of the Ninja remasters are like slightly specific, hard to guess ones, I would think. Yeah,
but I mean, like, I wouldn't say Mario Tennis is too hard to guess that they would come out with one. I guess Ultra Smash was pretty recent, but I don't know, like there's usually one per console generation anyways, so you could say like there's gonna be a Mario Kart game for the Switch before the Switch launched. It's like, yeah of course there's going to be, right? Because there's always a Mario Kart game.
Yeah. So I guess I'm not that familiar with Mario Tennis.
So no, me neither. But there always is one.
I want to bring this up. This is apparently all of the leaked games. It took me a while to find the website. I thought the original website had it posted, but it didn't. So it says this is coming from Nintendo Life, which is a website that everyone is familiar with, unlike
very credible place.
Yes. They say the leak is showing data-mined games for the Nintendo Switch, and it shows Luigi's Mansion 3, Metroid Prime 4, Skylax Revenge, Resident Evil 2 Remake, SNES Remix, Monster Hunter World, Bravely 3rd, Pikmin 4, Mario and Sonic, and many more coming to Switch.
Can we just make this whole podcast about the Resident Evil 2 remake?
Yeah. It continues, you still think this leak is faked? The data mine is from February 4th, and it shows games revealed in this direct March 8th. I guess they got that wrong. This March 8th direct. And this Nindies direct. You heard what I said, February 4th, and it shows games revealed in this month. So apparently a lot of the games that was revealed during the Nindies direct was listed on this before the direct actually happened. But the full list that it has, and there are a couple that are removed here, says Ark Survival Evolved, Grip, Sonic Mania Plus, Bomb Chicken, Luminous Remastered, Crash Bandicoot, The Insane Trilogy, Reigns, King and Queens, Lightfall, West of Loathing, The Messenger, Bad North, The Banner Saga 2, The Banner Saga 3, Division 2, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and more. And then they have a few that are removed for some reason. Like they had the name typed out and then they erased it and just put removed. Maybe
weird.
Yeah, I wonder if
redacted.
A publisher or someone reached out to them to remove it.
They're like, no, don't do this. Please don't.
Like I think when
your face is redacted.
When Shadow of the Tomb Raider was first leaked. Do you guys remember how that first leaked? It was like there was an employee on the train with his laptop open and he was working on like documents of it, and someone looked over and was like, "Hey, what are you working on?" And the guy was like, "Shadow of the Tomb Raider."
What?
Don't they have like NDAs for that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So the guy, I don't think it exactly happened like that, but the guy ended up that was sitting beside him talking to him about it. He ended up taking pictures of the screen, and this was
my
like,
goodness.
yeah, this happened like 2 years ago, I want to say, and the game's finally being announced now. So
That's
magical.
and
Wow.
there was a bunch of websites that like mentioned the story, but then the developers would reach out to the websites and be like, "Hey, can you not let people know about this?"
Just-
Yeah.
we know everyone knows, but can we just
Not
they
talk
forget?
about it.
Yeah.
Can
So
we just please be in denial?
what going back to the story, what are your guys's like the most interesting thing that was supposedly leaked from this? Is it the Pokemon remasters, the new Zelda game, Resident Evil 2 remake?
You know what? I find it's just the DS Zelda games were on there, and I really
Yeah,
really
Spirit
enjoyed
Tracks. Give us
I know they're
traditional
not the
controls.
most popular. I would love that. I really enjoyed Spirit Tracks, but I like this is sort of the same thing with the Skyward Sword that we talked about. Is like I enjoyed the controls. I thought it played well, and I enjoyed the game a lot. But I know it was a barrier for a lot of people. A lot of people were very turned off by that. So if you re-release it with maybe optionally weird controls and optionally traditional controls, much like Twilight Princess HD had, then a lot of people would probably be more likely to try out this game that they missed out on, you know, that
Yeah.
I think is a really good game. So yes,
All right.
bring us more spiritual. Oh,
I thought the idea was, I thought the idea of a Spirit Tracks remaster or whatever was really interesting. I'm like, whoa, really? I'd love to see that, especially if they updated the music to not sound like a DS game.
yeah, because the soundtrack is really good, and
It's the one of the best in the series.
Yeah. but it's so like twangy because it's coming on the DS. So
Yeah.
like in the Zelda Symphony, they did the overworld theme.
Oh, did they
For
finally?
it, and not the live something. No, it was the CD that came with Skyward Sword, the 25th anniversary CD, had the overworld theme from Spirit Tracks in it, and it
Did it?
sounds so good in orchestra. Yeah, no, it's
Axel's
I
gonna
like,
fact check you on this.
Yeah,
no,
I have it on my computer. and I'm
100%. It's one of the first. I think it's part of a medley, to be honest.
Okay, then that makes sense.
But it sounds so good, like orchestrated like that. So if they did a remaster for Spirit Tracks and they had the sound updated,
Yeah, that would be.
Mm.
Like, honestly, don't even make the remaster. Just make the soundtrack update. I don't care.
well, there's a lot of jaggies in that game, you know. So we could clean those up a little bit.
All right. What about you, Mandy? What are your thoughts on this? Were there any games that stuck out for you?
well, they skipped Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'd like to see both.
Both in a bundle would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really into leaks because that's not my thing, but it looks promising and they're all possible. So I'm like excited if they like, come true or something.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm the most curious about the link between islands. It sounds like a crazy
It sounds like a fake
sequel.
name.
Yeah, like a pseudo
does sound like a
sequel
fake name.
to
That
Or
doesn't
working
sound-
title,
Maker
maybe.
or something.
It could be like a working title, though.
Yeah.
It's like it's a
It
bridge.
sounds weird.
A link
sounds
between
super
island
vague.
is a
It's
bridge.
a bridge. The whole game takes place on a bridge.
Yeah, like
Face
That's
is on a
very-
bridge.
that's.
Oh. It's a
That's-
very long bridge.
But that's what a link between islands would be, is just a bridge. Like that's
Or a boat, Jesse.
Boat.
Or a boat.
Alright.
A boat links islands, Jesse.
We've never had a game on a boat in Zelda before, have we?
Yes.
What?
I can't think of a single one.
yeah.
Or like frame. we haven't had
No. Sorry, got Twilight Princess had a boat.
That's right. There's
Yeah,
the
and there was
raft
the boat
in Zelda
in
1.
It was a canoe.
There's the raft in Zelda 1, I forgot.
that. Yeah, you're right. So the boats have been in the series for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think that's a game.
Yeah,
Link
I
between
don't-
worlds, link to the past, and then link between islands.
Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
a grade almost.
Yeah.
You know, like you got Link to the Past. It's like it's very dramatic. You know, it's like time based. You got a link between worlds. You're two worlds connecting. A link between islands. You got a bridge.
If we went with that the naming pattern, I could see something like A Link Between Times being a game, because a lot of Zelda games explore like some form of time travel.
You know what would be cool? If they did like the Oracle kind of way, where you have Oracle seasons, Oracle ages.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And then a concluding chapter.
More Pokemon. The more
like
Zelda, the better. Yeah, like, were you guys a fan of the way they did that? Like, they always release the 2 Pokemon games. They always release, well, not always, but they release the 2 Fire Emblem games at once. Actually, they released 3. And then
true.
They had the Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons. Would you guys like if they did something similar for Zelda again? If they had one that, just like Oracle's, like one's main focus was puzzles, the other's main focus was the action.
Well, sorry.
No, you go.
Well, in Fire Emblem, there were like different stories. Like, both games were completely different, and then the last one was a DLC, which concluded like the whole timeline stuff. So I think that's good because you get like 2 different versions of a game.
Yeah.
But Pokemon is the same game, so...
Yeah,
with like minor tweaks and stuff. I think it's best that way when you have 2 fairly different games, but like with the same engine or something. Like, that's the coolest. I liked Oracle of Ages and Seasons, I think, because when you're gonna do something like Pokemon, I feel like, and this is interesting, I feel like Phantom Hourglass's approach is ideal, because Phantom Hourglass, like, is one game, but you have that experience of both players having a different game, because like the treasure rarities are different, the ship part rarities.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the ship parts don't have different rarities, but you still have to collect them and you trade them back and forth. You could do the Pokemon thing in one game. You could have randomized Pokemon rarities and things like that. So.
Yeah, it's true, and like you said, with the Oracle games or with the Fire Emblem games, I find like I would get both. I would be more inclined to get both so that I can play it and have the 2 different experiences.
Yeah.
If they had it like Pokemon, where it's the same game with tweaks here and there, or different item rarities and things like that, I wouldn't be inclined to get both. I would just get one. And I know Nintendo wants my money. They're very good at getting it out of me.
All right. Final question on this topic before we move on to our next news story, talking about Splatoon. Starting with you, Mandy, what are your hopes, not for the next big Zelda game, so not the big follow-up to Breath of the Wild, but whatever the next handheld type Zelda game would be? What are your hopes for that?
I hope it will be something with Toon Link, and it will kind of be like I wouldn't know where to put it, but I want to have like Toon Link and more of a story, and just
Is there
simple.
any specific timeline that you would like it to take place in, or like directly after a specific game or before a specific game?
Well, I just want the timeline to be erased entirely and put Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild starts the timeline, and then you go down from there.
Okay.
Because everything's a mess now.
So you would want it to be like a sort of sequel to Breath of the Wild, or taking place like long after Breath of the Wild?
Or just independent, I take it.
Oh, see, that's a problem. I guess independent.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Axel? What are your hopes?
Well, I'll just add on to something she said real quick. Before Breath of the Wild was even announced properly, when we were talking about Zelda Wii U, I actually wrote an article saying the next game should be in New Hyrule from Spirit Tracks. And when she mentioned Toon Link, I'm like, yeah, we should see New Hyrule again. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I would say that my main pick is like, I mean, you're talking about a handheld game, so it'd be more applicable, I guess, to A Link Between Worlds' world design than necessarily Breath of the Wild's. But like between both games, I feel like one of the weak points of those games is they're a little too open almost. I think I talked about this a little bit last time I was here, but like one of the things that bugs me about Breath of the Wild is like it's so open that there's almost no meaningful decisions in where you want to go. You can just go wherever. I feel like it's interesting when you kind of limit the player's actions a bit and you give them the ability to have to think about how they want to go through the world. But I also think that one of Breath of the Wild's big weak points, which isn't one of A Link Between Worlds, is there's not a lot of like level design. Right. Your face is fishing. There's not like a lot of level design in the areas. So, like for example, when you go through the overworld, there's not a lot of, do I have to? How do I get to that area? How do I overcome this terrain? How do I, blah blah blah. Whereas in a lot of the older Zelda games, you have lots of that, and I feel like I'd like to make sure that the next game could be as open as Breath of the Wild. I don't care, but maybe has a little bit more structure and a lot more like designed areas that create unique challenges. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. That's my big thing. That's one thing I feel like the more recent games have not quite nailed, even though they've really brought back the openness, which is really great stuff.
And this would be... Sorry, what were you saying, Mandy?
I think like Zelda needs to start... I think it needs to start focusing on some story.
Yeah.
Maybe make Link a character and not like a vessel for you to go around. But that's just my opinion. I wish he could talk. I want to know what he's thinking. And more like character development with like the characters and stuff. They did good with Zelda and Breath of the Wild.
With the cutest smile in existence at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Or wherever it is.
So I hope they go with that, but I know a lot of people might not like that idea.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of directions they can take individual games. I think a lot of Zelda fans get a little caught up on like, well, I don't want the whole series. Well, yeah, but would you enjoy it one time?
Yeah.
Because like...
That's what I've always thought, is that like a lot of people complained about the motion control in Skyward Sword. And my thought was, even if you don't like it, that's one game out of like 30 plus years of Zelda games. That's just one game out of like who knows how many. And the same with like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. Like I wasn't a fan of the touch controls. I would have preferred normal controls, but I looked at it as like a one-time experience. Like I would rather have it than not have it.
Yeah.
So
like I very much enjoyed those games, but I never would, like even me, I would never want every Zelda game to have the touch controls. No way.
No.
Yeah.
But I really
That's
enjoyed
the thing, is that Zelda as a series has stayed so current and relevant over 30 years because it's changing constantly.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the games, the controls are going to be a little bit different, but it's going to be a 1 or 2 time thing, and that's fine. Like they're experimenting all the time, just changing it up, and the series overall is better for it, in my opinion.
I have a new video idea.
Oh,
nice.
Let's hear it. The exclusive insider scoop.
Tell us your secrets.
Tell us.
Oh.
Do you want to share the video idea you have?
You don't have to. It's okay if you don't want to.
No. I want to make a video like discussing what type of Zelda games like to see in the future.
Go on.
He's pretending.
Discussion theory stuff. I'm thinking.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
No, it's all in the brainstorm.
All right, Daniel, what are your hopes?
Yeah, are we still talking about the leaks then?
No, it ties into it because one of the leaks was the new whatever Zelda game. So, like, if it were to be true, what would your hopes that it would be?
Yeah, well, like I said, I would like to see those DS Zelda games remastered with some. I guess it would have to be more traditional controls because the Switch. I mean, the 3DS theoretically could do it with this. It has a stylus, but the Switch wouldn't be able to use touch controls. Yeah, so I would like to see that because, like I said, it's a barrier for a lot of players who haven't played it because they're turned off by change in touch controls. Any of the games listed, if they announced, I wouldn't be upset about, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I never played the Pokemon games listed. Was it Sapphire and
It was nuclear and chemical.
Nuclear and Chemical? Those are the ones. I never played those ones. I haven't played most of the Pokemon games. So
No one's played those ones. I know.
anyway,
Just as long as we're clear on that.
okay. many of these games I actually haven't played. So bringing them over to Switch, I would be more inclined. Link Between Islands sounds hella fake, but if they make A Link Between Worlds style Zelda game, I'll be very happy because I adored the hell out of A Link Between Worlds.
That was a good game.
I mean, because for me it hit me right in the nostalgia because A Link to the Past was my first Zelda game, so like it got me good. You know, just like I was squealing the whole way through, right? But there was also like a lot of really good puzzles in the game. Kind of what you were saying, Axel, about sort of the openness of it was limiting in the dungeon design because you can't have the skill curve as much.
Yeah.
Because if you can access the dungeons in any order, you can't have Dungeon 1 be easy and Dungeon 8 be really hard because if someone goes to Dungeon 8 first, they're not going to have a good time.
You can do it with enemies pretty easily by like scaling up their power, but
true.
Puzzles,
but
you'd have to design different puzzles.
Yeah, exactly. And so that wouldn't be... That would detract from the experience if they had to change the puzzles per the order of your playthrough.
Yeah.
But I do like the openness because then it adds a layer of like where are you going to go first and then where are you going to go next as sort of another dimension of the strategy of how you're going to get through the game.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. So if they do another one like that, if it had to be A Link Between Islands as a working title, please change the title before release. But I can imagine it being something related to Link's Awakening or the Oracle games. Like those ones are on islands, right? So
maybe actually that is the point. Actually, if you think about it, maybe it's like A Link Between Worlds, but for Link's Awakening, like redo that world in a new story.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would go back and finish playing Link's Awakening because I didn't finish it. So just to get through that. So that would be cool. Jesse, what are your hopes and dreams?
I really want to see something like I want to see an upgraded art style to that of A Link Between Worlds and Triforce Heroes. Like, so think about Pokemon X and Y's art style. That was what, whenever they first made the 3DS, that was the first Pokemon game that they put out. And then something that they've never really done before that I could think of, they updated the art style within the same console generation. So you have Pokemon X and Y, which looked great when it came out, and then you had Pokemon Sun and Moon, which was a little bit too good for the 3DS to handle because the game runs so poorly. Even on the new 3DS, like, it still has its moments where it chugs along, but I was thinking if A Link Between Worlds and Triforce Heroes would be akin to X and Y, what would the top-down 2.5D art style be that would be more akin to Sun and Moon, to where it doesn't look amazing, but it looks better enough to where it stands out on its own. It's not just updated textures, it's a brand new art style, but it's still like the top-down 2.5D. I would like to see something like that. And then in terms of the world, I wouldn't want it to be Hyrule. I would want it to be like, everyone thinks about the return to like Termina being in 3D. But what if it was like a top-down version of Termina?
That'd be cool.
So,
or New Hyrule.
Or new. We already have a top-down version of New Hyrule.
But it would be nice to go back, because with Spirit Tracks, like, you don't really get to explore very much the world. Like, you get the small bounded areas and then the train tracks, right?
Yeah,
so you get to
it's
see
a link between
everything.
tracks.
Imagine a normal Zelda games. Imagine normal Zelda exploration of the underwater area.
Oh no, that would be so cool. Cause that was a really cool part of that game.
Yeah.
Was what the tracks go under the water and there's all the, yeah. No, it was just very visually like, whoa,
Yeah.
like, this is really cool. So, I would love to see that, where you're not bounded by being stuck in the train and on these preset paths, and you can just be out and explore. Maybe still have the trains.
Yeah.
As a faster way of getting around, but be able to hop off and, go out and explore.
To
it's a great
clarify,
excuse.
in the chat, JustX says we already have a top-down version of Termina. It's called Low Roll. Those are two completely
not
different.
the same place, dude.
Two
I mean, that is an
completely different
interesting
places.
theory, but no, that's not confirmed in any way. Like, that's
Yeah.
not a
No.
fact.
It's
It's definitely an interesting thought.
Low Roll is based off of the Dark World, which would be the Sacred Realm, not.
Yeah, but let's clarify that it's not the sacred realm
Yeah,
either.
it's
Yeah.
based off.
Based
of.
off of it from a design standpoint.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there actually is a better theory in general to say that it could be the sacred realm, but I still don't. There's no confirmation of any kind. We can't say that with any kind of certainty.
Yeah. That lines up better than saying it's Termina, though, for sure. But yeah.
He says, "I know you guys, but it's the same difference." I mean, he's right. It's both are parallel universes with the same kind of people. It's like there are infinite
that's
realities.
the same as like someone living in Termina saying the Twilight Realm and Hyrule are the same because they're both parallel to Termina.
Yeah, but everyone in the Twilight Realm looks like weird alien monkeys. So,
But
Everyone
do they see their selves?
the Dark
as
World,
weird
though,
alien
is like-
monkeys?
what? Well, no, in the Dark World, they just turn into alien monkeys.
Right.
This
Your
is why I
face is
say,
alien.
like, they need to make a new timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
Clean it up.
I love the Dragon Break theory. Just like everything just
Yeah.
clean. It's
that-
clean. It's dealt with.
That's your
I will-
most popular
I
Zelda
will-
Informer video.
Back from my ZI days. Yeah. No, that's one of my favorites.
All right, Daniel, take us to our Splatoon story.
Yes, Splatoon. Our story comes from GoNintendo.com, who we often cite. Nintendo's Splatoon panel at GDC 2018. Another round of development details and more insight. So there's some just bullet points in this article to go over. So the initial prototype used cube-shaped characters shooting black and white ink on a flat map, which sounds boring, so I'm glad they changed that. They used cubes because they were easy to make, and the team eventually ended up calling them blocks of tofu. Okay. Rabbits can be both black and white, making them easy to separate into team, which is why the next prototype had rabbits. Then rabbits are also very territorial creatures. The devs wanted to use bright colored inks and thought they would contrast well with the neutral color of the rabbits. The build was shown.
Contrasts well with the neutral color of rabbits.
Yeah, I guess it does. What do you know? The build was shown to others around Nintendo, and many were confused as to what rabbits had to do with ink. Which is true. That's fair enough. Squids were actually one of the original candidates, but the team couldn't find a reason to choose them over the other ideas. When the team thought up swimming quickly through ink, squids started to make more sense. like they're like stuck on this rabbit idea, and they're like, oh, I mean ink and swimming. Why didn't we do squids before this? The squids were given a human form to help differentiate between their walking and ink swimming abilities, and the Nintendo took the container approach when creating the game's world. The container was the multiplayer, and the team slowly added things to that. I don't know what that means, but
It might be a game development term. I
it
can
must
look
be.
it up.
Sure,
I
look
think
it
what
up,
they
Roy.
meant by container is instead of having like a big world to put
Oh,
everything
just
in,
like small,
yeah,
different
you just
levels,
like
like
literally
small
make
maps.
a big cube and then fit everything inside that cube.
Oh, that makes sense. Things added included the hub world, characters, apparel, songs, the Squid Sisters, and more. The team saw Splatoon as a service game, much like For Honor or Overwatch. The team sought to continuously add weapon stages and modes to keep players engaged and entice newcomers.
They messed up by never charging people
Yeah, really.
for that DLC.
Or, well, someone's argued that was what was part of what was great about it.
Yeah,
So-
but it's like if they wanted to make it a games as a service thing to where like they keep making more and more money from it, you don't
Yeah.
give away the free DLC. Like
unless you want. me
How do
to
you
love
charge for free DLC?
You make it not free DLC.
Yeah, but if it's free DLC, how do you make money on it?
Well, like I imagine a smarter business move would have been to release like 2 or 3 free weeks of DLC, but then after that release it to where it's like you still get one piece of free DLC, but then the 3 or 4 other things you have to pay for. So it's like
You could also
you get this, you get a new splat gun, whatever it may be, but if you buy that week's DLC for like $2 or $5, you get like maybe a new level or new rollers or new costumes and stuff. So it's like no matter what, you still get the free DLC, but if you pay the money, you get more.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's a wrong method to, have the free DLC and then to just make a sequel. But they could also have done, say, the old Awesome Knots model before Awesome Knots went free to play, where you had the base game, you bought it, and then they had free additions to the game. And then at some point they did an expansion. And there was certain even after the expansion came out, some content was still part of the base game and some content was part of the expansion. So they would add to both. So even if you didn't get the expansion, you'd still get content sometimes, but you'd also get more if you got the expansion. Both got continually added to, kind of situation.
All right,
Could have been
Daniel,
cool.
finish the details.
Yes.
Here.
There's
We got
only
about
2
halfway
points. No, we got most. There's only
okay.
2 points left. Splatfest also helped people, come back. Helped to bring people back for more, and the fan reaction and support for the franchise means a lot to the devs. They say nothing, not even cheese, makes them happier. Let me tell you, that's a statement.
But I
I
love,
love
cheese.
cheese. I love cheese.
All right,
Not even cheese or chocolate would make them happier.
Mandy, what are your thoughts on Splatoon? Are you a big fan? Do you hate the game?
Yeah. I love the game. I'm glad it became what it is now, and not the paid DLC route. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the game. Like, it's so addicting, and I go back for the Splatfest, and it's just fun. Good fun.
Did you become a fan like for Splatoon 2, or were you playing the original on Wii U?
I became a fan in Splatoon 2.
All right. What about you?
Because, like,
Sorry, what were you saying, Mandy? Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh. no, it's fine. Go ahead.
All right. Oh, Daniel, Splatoon. What are your thoughts?
I enjoy it. Yeah, I found.
All right. What about
It's
you,
very
Axel?
much okay. Bye, everybody. I'm just gonna hide under my desk now. No, it's good. I played both. It's definitely like the multiplayer is really the meat and potatoes of the deal. The single player is very much the side piece.
You say that, but my hope before we got Splatoon 2, my hope was like a Splatoon adventure game.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like they do have that, like the single player campaign, and it's fun, but it's not like it feels very not fully fleshed out. So I'm really hoping with the Octo expansion.
Yeah,
that
I was
they're
gonna
with,
say.
that'll really like fill out. That
Sounds like
that
it's a
missing
big
bit.
story mode and that
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah,
Although
it's like okay, this is what I want. I want to see this,
the original trailer for it, I was watching it and I was thinking the entire time, why do they have this squid kid so sexualized?
I didn't even know it was an octopus. Like,
Yeah. Which is
Because
what's sexy.
everyone loved Marina, that's why. And by
Yeah.
the way, don't question it. You're not allowed to.
Yeah, it was like she's just walking in slow-mo through the train, like shaking her hips with each step, and I'm like,
that
Is-
old guy
I
was
mean,
Have
looking
you been
at
paying attention to
is
Splatoon
this
2
a-
up till this point?
is this
I mean,
a game for kids?
see,
or...
If you had it, you'd shake it too.
Nintendo's been kind of pushing the envelope with that a little bit, though. I don't know if you noticed, but every game that comes out, they're like, okay, how many hot girls can we put in here? Let's figure it out.
Yes,
I love
the
just look at
scene.
Fire Emblem and
Well, I imagine that the scene with Zelda and Breath of the Wild was deliberate. Like they could have.
Excuse me, Jesse. Scene? Singular?
I think he's
was there
particularly
another?
talking about the butt shots. Like, just
Well,
that
yeah.
part in particular.
There's actually a lot of those.
Yeah, like they could have easily, to make it more kid friendly, just like panned the camera around to where you see Zelda's face when she's bending over, as opposed to.
You do, and then you see her butt.
Yeah, just do like a slow pan around until your camera's right in the butt.
We're joking, but there were people
everyone
who want
has a
that.
butt. So.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
yeah.
true.
I mean, everyone poops.
Well, Daniel, if you remember, there was the news story that we had where it was Nintendo, like it was confirmation that Nintendo was going to all of the mature game developers that were making like lewd games and stuff, and asking them to bring their games over to the Nintendo Switch. So like games like Galgun and others, that the entire point is to like take the clothes off of random anime girls. Like Nintendo was actively pursuing them to bring their games to the Switch.
For some reason.
It wasn't like they were like, "Hey Nintendo, can we put this game on the Switch?" It was Nintendo going after them, asking them to bring their games to the Switch.
Yeah.
So maybe Breath of the Wild is just the first sign of things to come.
Oh no, don't.
And then we see it with Splatoon. I'm surprised there wasn't something in Mario Odyssey with like Peach or something. But anyways.
Oh, there was.
Did I miss out on something?
Have you done an image search for wedding dress Peach?
Uh-oh. Do I want to?
Don't do it, but I'm just saying.
I'm gonna do it.
Do it
Wait,
right
should
now.
I do it? I don't know if I should. I feel like I'm gonna be a little disappointed. It's just gonna be like normal.
Same. I did find one of Peach in the wedding dress, and she just had a face that was like. Have you ever seen Jim Carrey's The Mask?
Yeah.
So it was literally Peach wearing the mask, but in like a hypersexualized wedding. I don't have no idea what I even just saw. Like.
All right.
And have you played Metroid?
Metroid? Yeah.
That's the first thing I ever played.
Oh.
Metroid's a girl.
Started there.
Yeah, it kind of did. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. I have this kind of like theory on that. Like, I would argue that Samus Aran is arguably like the first. I mean, granted, it's tame compared to what you see these days, but I would argue Samus Aran is basically the first like video game sex icon, basically.
Yeah.
Because she's badass.
Yeah.
She's wicked. Honestly, like, I see what you're talking about with this Google search here. This was a mistake. No, that's true. Is because it's weird because Samus is like this super badass, awesome bounty hunter character, and then your reward for being so awesome and killing all your enemies quickly and getting through the game, and they're like, now you can see her take her clothes off, and it's like, doesn't that kind of like, like, yeah? I mean, they're not so much. I want to say they're doing it less now, but then when they were like, here's Zero Suit Samus, like, I knew people that were nuts for Zero Suit Samus, and I was like, this is like 2006 Wii graphics. Are you sure this is, like, why is this doing it for you? What? This is not a real person.
Well, when they did it with Metroid Zero Mission, they released, like, and it was actually, honestly, like, hilarious. Like, it still cracks me up. They're, like, they made a big deal about Metroid Zero Mission, but, like, during the release of that game, they made a lot of artwork of Zero Suit Samus, like, way more than was reasonable, and, like, all of them offer her butt to the camera. It's really funny.
Yes.
Like, you should go to, like Metroid Database, just go to Zero Suit.
I once made the joke that if as many people played the Metroid games as cosplay Zero Suit Samus, there would be new Metroid games every year.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
No question.
Yeah, it's a popular cosplay.
Yeah.
It is.
Alright, final thoughts on Splatoon, everybody.
Great game.
Well, not Splatoon, sorry. The DLC, the upcoming DLC.
I want it.
Anything that can put me closer to Marina is okay by me.
Nice.
I mean, what? Who said, huh? What were you talking about?
What about you, Mandy?
I'm gonna get it. I like it.
Awesome.
I want to see what it has.
All right, Axel. I don't think you got to last time. So, would you like to take the next piece of news? All you have to do, read the title, say where it comes from, and then read a couple paragraphs.
So on Kotaku, we got teens and teachers say Fortnite Mobile is destroying some school. Full disclosure, I made Jesse put this on.
Yes. He wasn't going to include it, and we're like, no. We have to. If we can talk about Toad's head not being a hat, we can talk about this.
That's partly why I asked Axel to go with this news story. Yes, this is from Kotaku, written by Patricia
Hernandez.
Yeah. So what does this tell us, Axel?
So it says, for months now, teachers everywhere have heard students talk about Fortnite, the world's latest obsession, nonstop. While the popularity of the game is nothing new, its release on iOS has apparently only made things more intense. Fortnite is now a huge distraction you can now take anywhere after all. Many schools have rules against cell phones, but judging from posts on social media, nothing can stop students from booting up the ruthless shooter. Everyone is playing it, teens say, so schools have tried to ban it. It's a huge enough problem that some schools are reportedly having Wi-Fi problems as teens try their best to survive the battle royale through shared networks. People are fighting over the game, or they're ignoring schoolwork, and in some schools it's all Fortnite all the time now. Students aren't the only ones taking to Twitter about this phenomenon.
Yes, there are a ton of tweets about this, but the article continues and says, there's been a rise in the number of incidents with students walking into classes while playing the game. Nick something says, a high school AP computer science teacher told Kotaku they started to match during lunch or before school and need to finish the 10 to 15 minute long matches. I have noticed in my room students sitting next to each other trying to play while pretending to do work. For many of us, playing games during school time is an old hat. I remember sneaking a Game Boy under my desk in elementary school. Plenty of people have memories of playing games on their calculators too. What makes Fortnite different is that it is a meaty and intense game that everyone is playing because it's free. Plus, if you're bad at Fortnite, you can still just watch others and have a blast. It's a great spectator sport. The temptation to play or watch it and chum around with your peers is bigger than most games that have come before it. According to Nick Fisher, the teacher with the Fortnite mobile confiscation bin tweet, part of what makes Fortnite so viral for kids is that its culture is tied to social media. Players feel compelled to talk about Fortnite with other people to make their prowess public. When you mix in the fact that you have to Snapchat every dub win you get, or Snapchat your friends losing, it merges two of the biggest distractions in school. I would say Snapchat is a bigger issue than games, but Fortnite marries the two of them into a monster. Phones are enough of a necessity that students can use them during designated times, like lunch breaks. But there's still some marvel over how much Fortnite is taking over students' lives. My school allows phones during the lunch breaks, and instead of socializing, all they do is play Fortnite, said high school teacher Priscilla Cullen. It continues with more quotes, but I think everybody gets the idea. Basically, they are going to be tearing down all of the schools and making dedicated Fortnite
Bring them down.
Community buildings.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, when I was in high school, though, like, people would put StarCraft on a thumb drive and then play it in the classroom, like at the computers or in the library.
But you
or
would put
Counter-Strike. StarCraft, like the first one, like the original StarCraft, or Brood War.
You would put actual PC games on a thumb drive.
And then you plug it into the school computer and you could run it on the computer. and then we'd play like Counter-Strike. People play Counter-Strike on the they'd install it on the network, and the teachers were not smart enough to figure out that was done. And then you play Counter-Strike, people would play Counter-Strike all throughout these computer classes or in the library or whatever, all the time. This This is not a new phenomenon. Like this,
Yeah.
See,
this has always been
I'm
happening.
with the teacher on this, to where when I was in school, it was just like, hey, let's play Pokemon on the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I get it. Like maybe this is a little more addictive than like those games at the time. Although like, I don't know, Counter-Strike. Like the people who played Counter-Strike at school, like they were really into it. It's like really, really into it. So I don't know, but I get it that it's very much a distraction. But I don't think this is a new thing at all. Like people have always been sneaking games into school as long as we've had games.
Now we just got to get the commoners to argue about which is better, Fortnite or PUBG.
Oh no!
I mean,
don't
what?
start that.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I actually haven't played either yet, so I have no opinion on that. But it's funny because I've
Me
watched
either.
friends argue.
I was forced to play Fortnite,
Yeah.
so
Sorry to hear that.
yes, it was a lonely time. I actually played. I want to say Gibbs was in it, but it may have just been CC and some of her friends. Maybe Gibbs Overwatch was with Gibbs. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on this, Mandy?
I don't play Fortnite, so I don't know. But I mean, kids will find anything, so like
Maybe just crack down on it, you know?
make the Wi-Fi suck at your
There you
or
go.
lock it or something.
Yeah.
Change the
Or just
password
turn
for
it
the-
off when lunch is over.
Or some kids just play after they finish their work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like with students, like they'll find a distraction if they're not motivated to work.
Yeah.
Like they will find a way if they don't want to do the work. Like that's just how teenagers are. You know, it's so if it's not Fortnite, it's gonna be something else, right? I'm not saying that we shouldn't, you know, like do something, but necessarily blaming this one thing is not. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't played Fortnite, so I can't really be the defender, but
It's probably a problem, just not the problem with Fortnite specifically.
yeah. Exactly.
All right.
Find a way to motivate your students.
Okay. Here's the thing. You kind of touched on it, Daniel. So
Yeah.
Axel and Mandy. Were there any games that you were tempted to play instead of doing schoolwork, or that you tried to sneak into classes and play?
No, because I like to have my space while I play. I can't play in like school and stuff.
Oh.
That's just me.
Hmm.
So I waited till I just got home, or it was designated free time. But in high school, I would just finish my work, put it down, and play my DS.
Yeah.
I never had that problem of tempting or anything.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Axel?
At times I had distraction issues when I would be studying, but it would usually just be like dumb stuff. Like I'd be like, well, I can put it off for a minute, so I wouldn't like go and do something else, if you know what I mean. So, no, not really. I never really played when I was doing schoolwork. There are lots of things I played when I should have been doing something else, though, and I think the king of that is League of Legends. I played more League than I probably should have.
That was during your Ghost years?
Mostly
Or
before
you-
it, some during.
Before you were revived?
Yeah, mostly before it.
Oh, okay.
Before I disappeared.
All right.
Maybe a little after.
This brings us to our first discussion topic. So for the discussion topics, I do a new intro for them. So are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. Think
Yes,
of...
sir.
So what we're going to do, since we're going to name off one, or if you guys would rather do two, but we'd have to go through them a little bit faster if we did two. But it says top 5, so it's essentially, since there's 4 of us, we would each name off what we think our most emotional moment was, and then on the 5th one, we would all come together and agree.
Okay.
But we could do 2, but there are 2 different top 5 things, so...
I thought we already did one of those. That's why I talked about the next Zelda game. Oh.
No, this is top 5 ways to improve the next Zelda. So slightly different.
I might be dumb then, because I kind of already gave my answer. Oh, whatever. I can make it quick.
Oh, you're fine. So you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Rock and roll.
What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse. Some of you all may know me, and here with me is the amazing MandyleePlays. Sorry.
Hello.
We have the devilishly handsome AxleTheBeast.
Hello.
And
Sorry, I was distracted.
he was distracted by his own looks. That's how handsome he is. And we have the pride of Canada, Daniel. So today we are going to be discussing what we believe are the top 5 most emotional moments in Zelda R. We will each be giving our own top emotional moment, and then for the 5th we will all come into agreement, which may be a little bit of debate on, but I don't expect too much. So
worst case scenario, Jesse lays down the hammer and picks the 5th.
All right. So with this one, starting with you, Daniel, what is your most emotional moment in all of Zelda?
That is tough. There's a couple really hard ones. Like there's some really emotional moments, especially Skyward Sword. It has a lot of emotional ones.
We have Groose turning good. We have Navi flying off. We have the end of Majora's Mask. We have Koholint Island disappearing. We have Midna disappearing, or well, not disappearing, but leaving. So there are.
We also have Midna revealing how hot she is.
Yeah. So tons.
Wow. Okay.
Tons of different things to go off of. But what is your most emotional moment?
So, I would say the very most emotional one. Let's see. It was like Midna's lament. You know, like when she's dying, and you're stuck in wolf form, and you gotta go bring her to Zelda, and there's that. You know, that piano music playing, Midna's Lament, I think is what the name of the song is, actually. That one's a pretty good emotional moment, you know? I wanted to go with something a little less obvious, because I know what everyone's going to say from Skyward Sword, but no, this is one that I felt was a little more impactful, because Midna, she's been your companion this whole time, and then she's like, actually, you're kind of starting to get along with her now, and then she's dying, and you're pretty much like stuck in this. You're not exactly your most useful state as well, and it's sort of this race against time, even though there's not actually a time limit. But to save her, so that's a good one. And she's all weird colored for some reason.
All right, and what is your most emotional moment, Mandy?
I guess it's emotional for me, but not like per se the game. I would say getting out of the Shrine of Resurrection from Breath of the Wild.
That's a good one, actually.
That is.
Maybe because the game took so long to get here or something.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But it was, and then like they had the pan view of Hyrule.
That was cool.
It fills you up. You get all giddy seeing it all.
Yeah, it was a good emotion. Aww.
Sets you loose.
Yes. It's also one of the best ways to show you kind of what to expect, because you come out of there and like Link instantly runs to the edge of the cliff, and the camera like pans out to where you can see this huge world, and then like that's not even what's behind you. So like it shows everything in front of you, but there's so much that's behind you.
But like I said, that could be because finally a Zelda game.
Well, no, but that counts. Yeah.
No, that's emotional.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be sad emotional, right? That's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. What about you, Axel?
Well, he says it doesn't have to be sad emotional, but all the moments I think of usually are Because, like, I don't know, I found melancholy a really interesting thing in a lot of stories. Not necessarily like crushing sadness, but like melancholy, like, oh wow, kind of situation. I mean, see, now I don't feel like I can pick the end of Skyward Sword, so like, okay. It's going to be a Skyward Sword moment. A lot of my favorite moments in that game are very emotional to me, partially because of the song they play. It's not one that anyone knows by name. I think it's called Goddess Harp or something like that. It's basically this slow harp strings, and then there's like marching comes into it. It's a very melancholy song. It plays, I think, right after you meet Fi when you're like talking to what's his name, the owl-looking guy?
Oh, I think it's called Gapora, or Gapora.
But you know who I'm
Zelda's dad, right? Zelda's dad.
Yeah, Zelda's dad.
Yeah.
When you're talking to him about like what you got to do next, it plays after you first fight the imprisoned. When like Impa's telling you got to open up the time gate, blah blah blah. A lot of those moments really got to me. I think because of that song. I think that song specifically just speaks to me on a level that like blows every other song in the series out of the water. It's literally my top 3 Zelda songs of the whole series. But that's like a couple different moments, and it's reliant on the song. So I'll go pick the obvious one, I guess. Skipper, when you get to his shack in the sand sea.
That's the obvious one?
That, to me. I mean, other than the Fi one. Other than the Fi one.
Oh, see, that's not even what I thought the obvious one was. I thought the obvious one was like Zelda sealing herself in the...
Oh.
It's like, wake me up when you...
We're not on the same page at all, apparently.
No, like... No, that one's up there too. This is why Skipper's ship, or why Skipper's cabin.
Well, you get there and you've been listening to this song the whole time, the Sand Sea Island theme, right? You've been hearing it over and over again as you go to the different islands, and you get to Skipper's shack, and it plays this like really kind of like inspirational but kind of sad version of it. So it's like this climax to a song you've already been hearing, and you've met this character. I'm gonna give it to that, I think, because. Like, comparison to Fi's Farewell, Fi's a character you spent a lot of time with. Skipper's a character you spent very little time with. And yet, when you get to that moment, it gets you, or at least it got me. I kind of felt like crying during that sequence. You see
it's sad, because all his friends are dead.
Yeah, you see the photo of all of the crew and stuff, and I don't know. It was a great moment for me. Side note, I love it that when you... Yeah. Side note, I love it that when you complete the sand ship, you actually, it doesn't, I mean, it's still a dungeon, you know, but you actually meet all the ancient robots there. It's like they got it back. I thought that was a really cool little detail.
Even though, what always got me about that is I'm like, how'd they fix it so fast? Like, this ship got torn apart. It got destroyed.
They're robots.
They're very efficient robots.
Yeah, that's why they're robots. That's why they made them.
That's their job.
It's just their job, Jesse.
Yeah.
It's their purpose.
Yeah, it's the entire reason they were created, to fix boats. What did they do when they had no boats to fix? They got lost in the desert.
They made new boats, Jesse. They made better boats.
So Jesse, I want to hear yours, and then there's a really good one in the chat after that. I want to hold on to.
I don't see what the chat is, but I'm going to say. Now, I have like 5 floating around in my head, and I actually thought you were going to say it, Daniel, but you didn't.
Okay.
So I'm disappointed. You have failed your city.
He's failed his entire country.
In the words, in the words of the Green Arrow, you have failed your city. No, I would go with the oh gosh, I don't know how people know it better, but I'm just gonna say the Anju and Cafe side quest.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one too.
Oh,
I didn't know if people would know it more as like the Sun's Mask side quest.
No, it's Andrew and Cafe. Majora's Mask
Cafe
is
one.
too character driven for everyone to not know their names.
You get the Sun's Mask, sure. But
no one cares about the Sun's
Mask. No, who cares? Or you get the couple's mask, actually.
Yeah,
but no, it's like, who cares? This is the Andrew Cafe side quest. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Oh, that's a good one.
That one was depressing.
It's upsetting because you finally reunite them, and it's like, okay, everyone's back together now. Now you're all gonna die.
Yeah.
You die in each other's arms.
I never got that out of Majora's Mask. I never felt sad playing that game because I knew Link was going to
Really?
fix all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You
in the
collect
meantime,
dead
everyone
people.
die.
You collect
you-
people's mask.
I know, but you do it by giving them peace. Majora's Mask was a game where, yeah, okay, everyone dies, but it's like, okay. They're
Yeah,
okay.
It's like it's fine. There's
Fine,
fairies.
they're at peace.
Everybody can just go to the fairies and like get resurrected.
But I'm serious, that's the whole game. It's like, okay, yeah, I died, but I got to, like, fucking save everyone.
Yeah. But that depends, like, what kind of timeline we're talking about here. If this is a Dragon Break, like my own personal headcanon is, then everything's okay, everyone's saved. But if this is actually just multiple timelines, and every time you go back in time, it's a new
Everyone
timeline,
except the bomb
then-
thief.
yeah, then
He's the only
Oh, I
one
don't-
that deserves to be lost.
he can die. I don't care about Seikon.
No
The one in
likes
the
that
chat-
game.
The one in the chat was really good. It's from Losing Lemo.
Oh, that can be our fifth.
Yeah, can I just plug it right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Gibdo dad and his daughter in Majora's Mask.
that
That's
is
a
good.
really good one because it's like she like pushes him back in the closet. She's trying to defend him, but he's losing
Oh
his
my
mind literally, and
Yeah.
no, he's turning into a monster. Like she's kind of just keeping him locked up in this closet to keep him safe, and it's just like that one's super emotional. Yeah, especially as a dad, that gets me.
Alright, going around really quick, we will make this a top 10, but this will be like a speedy 5. So everyone
Okay.
just name off your second most emotional moment. If you went with something sort of depressing, take it in the other direction, something happy. So this time starting with you, Axel.
Well, now I can't pick Pious Farewell, so you've rendered me
I'm
into
sorry. You can still pick that. It's okay.
Yeah.
But it's a sad
take it.
moment.
It could be a happy
take it.
moment.
Okay. I got one. That's original, and it's not unhappy exactly.
It's the first time you see the snot-nosed kid in Wind Waker.
Get the
Yeah,
hell out.
It's an
No,
angry
get
is
the-
an emotion.
No,
It's
I'm-
okay.
I'm-
I get angry emotional when I see him. No! And then you see him again because you have to do that sliding block puzzle.
Oh,
The-
Miss Click in the chat loves your original answer.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she
it's
says,
a good one. You can take
"Pies
it.
farewell, I like you."
Yeah. I guess if I had to pick another, like, one that's not sad per se, I would pick, and this is kind of like an epic moment, but it still feels really big to me. The build up to the showdown against Demise,
Yeah.
where you're in the cloud space and there's that cool music playing. Like, I actually almost feel like, because I love Skyward Sword, but I feel like the music you fight Demise to, as good as it is, was like the wrong direction. You spend the whole game fighting to epic orchestral songs. I feel like for Demise, it should have been this quiet, scary song, kind of like it begins when you're in the intro from. But anyway, bottom line is that song that plays just before he's about to fight you, the like revelation that not only is Girahim a weapon, it's like that double like switch around, right? Where it's like, oh, my master, you've come back, and he's like, I'm going to take you now as my sword, but then he's just like, oh. Let's like the double reveal that he was. It makes you think, oh, Demise betrayed him, but then no, that's what Girahim wanted all along. And it's such a great little moment. All Girahim wanted was to be wielded by his master again. And then Demise is like, you can take your time coming to beat me. I ain't in a hurry. And he gives you infinite time to prepare for
Yeah,
your
it's just,
fight.
I'll be waiting. Don't worry.
That battle,
Such
the battle down to Demise, where you have to go through like the hundreds of bokoblins.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like looking back on it, after playing Hyrule Warriors, it kind of feels like a prelude to Hyrule Warriors.
A little bit, yeah.
little preview.
But
yeah.
like a better prelude, because it's not just like button mashing, like you actually
Motion
had to.
control.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't know.
No, I like that moment too.
All right. What about you, Mandy? What is your?
I guess when Link went to the Temple of Time to get the Master Sword, and then Ganon was like, "Got you.
Oh yeah.
JK!
That's my plan all along." And then
Uh,
he comes out, and everything's like destroyed and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh,
That's actually what I was originally going to pick before Daniel didn't mention the obvious answer.
I mean,
Sorry.
I did that on my second playthrough because my first I didn't notice that it was like oh, I got you.
Yeah.
But the second time was like holy moly.
Yeah. I actually have a nomination for like the 5th or the 10th one.
Yeah.
If you guys want to hear it. What about when you go to Hyrule Castle in the Wind Waker and you see the Sage murals?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good one. And I was just playing Wind Waker too, and I got to that point, and I always have to like jump in the water and go just like take it in. Just,
take them in.
Just go enjoy all those stained glass window artwork. That's a good one.
All right, what about you, Daniel?
Okay, this one's a bit different from where we've been going. This one is A Link to the Past, the very ending. After you beat Ganon, and then you get the Triforce, and the Triforce like speaks to you somehow.
Yeah.
And it just goes on this big dialogue about like, Ganon, he had a tainted heart, and this is why all this bad stuff happened. You have a pure heart, and it's just you can go up and make your wish now, and it's just very triumphant, very like. I feel like it was a really good ending to that game.
Yeah.
I'm 100% biased picking this one because, as I said earlier, A Link to the Past is my first Zelda game, but that one like really gets me because it's just like you spend the whole game building up to this and learning about the Triforce, and then you finally get all 3 pieces and you make your wish, and everything just the Dark World as a race goes back to being the Sacred Realm. Your uncle recovers. I'm pretty sure he fully died before. Recovers from being dead in the sewers. So, the king is alive again, even though he was incinerated. I don't know.
He's like a skeleton.
Because you see him like his skeleton sitting in the throne. But like all this stuff, everything comes back to being good, and it's just like a very fulfilling ending to the game. After,
Right.
I like that.
I will pick the end of Majora's Mask, which I don't quite understand, like the very, very ending when it shows the picture drawn on the tree, where it's like Link and the Skull Kid. Because
I can explain to you.
They weren't really friends, though. They were like acquaintances.
Well, that's the point, though. They became friends. That was like I don't know.
It's like, hey, you tried to kill me and everyone else.
But that wasn't.
He was
that wasn't the Skull Kid. That was Majora.
Yeah, he was possessed.
But before
like
he got Majora's Mask, he was just a bully.
Well, no. There's an important distinction. He wasn't a bully.
He was trouble.
He was a shithead. There's a difference. Bullies take away from people. Shitheads add to the general atmosphere. I am a shithead.
Alright. But yeah,
he stole the mask.
The end of Majora's Mask, I would say, where like the Happy Mask salesman comes out and then he disappears, and he gives that quote, like a parting something about ice cream and milkshakes, and then he disappears. But that would be mine. That would be my second.
It's a great moment, actually.
That's good.
Yeah.
Basically, like
Majora's Mask is a game about friendship.
Yeah, because it's like the reunion of Tattle and
Hale.
The other one.
Hale.
Yeah.
Hale.
So it's like their reunion. The Skull Kid isn't under the possession anymore. The Happy Mask salesman, for the first time, you see him like outside of the place. So, and then he just vanishes. So everyone's like, is he a member of the Sheikah tribe? Is he a deity?
A lot of theories.
Yeah.
So many.
Maybe he's just a guy.
Yeah, it's like he just threw a Deku nut and ran away.
Creepy guy, but he's just a guy. Yeah. A Miss Click in the chat says Link showed kindness to an outcast when others didn't, and it's like, yeah, pretty much, like, because he was absolutely an outcast for being too much of a troublemaker, even before he was possessed.
What are we going to agree on for the final?
Final countdown.
I nominate the Sage stained glass mythos.
Okay.
That's a good one. Or even like that, as well as the Hero of Time statue outside of that room.
Like just all of Hyrule
together.
Castle.
Yeah, that whole thing, like getting the Master Sword in Wind Waker, It's so good. It's.
All right. What about you, Mandy?
I nominate your uh, sorry, I drew a blank. The Majora's Mask one.
Oh no,
Yes.
that's already on the list. Like on the fifth
Oh,
one, we
okay.
all have
You
to
gotta agree on
decide.
one.
Yeah,
Oh,
we all picked the fifth. So
You do the Ocarina of Time credit sequence where everyone's partying,
Woo!
I forgot about
yeah.
that.
that's a good one. I'm
and then
gonna
the
take.
sages all look down on restored Hyrule from the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now let's vanish into light somehow. Do you think they died, like the champions did?
Well,
I don't think so, but
You know, that was kind of the impression I got. You know, was they went to the temples to go check out, do whatever. Daruna goes in the boss room, and then door locks behind him.
I
You
feel
go in
like
there. Where is he?
yeah, I feel like Twilight Princess kind of illuminated that, where like the sages are just spirit people, and one of them still dies. Like they can still die, but they like have this eternal duty to just be spirit people.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Like, although I don't think the sages in Twilight Princess were like the original sages, not the newly awakened sages.
I know, but what
Yeah.
I'm getting at is
Like,
the
they
sage
just can,
job.
they have the same power.
Yeah, the
like,
sage
yeah.
job involves not being a person. It involves being a ghosty ghost.
I like ghosty
Yeah.
ghosts.
Ghosty
All right,
ghosts are good.
we're going to default with the Hyrule Castle sequence of Wind Waker because seeing the statue, it's like the only
Yeah.
glimpse of adult Toon Link that we get.
It's
Mhm.
true.
Because it is Adult Link from Ocarina of Time, but it's rendered in the art style of Wind Waker, so that
Yeah.
in itself is a bit interesting. And then you have the Master Sword and everything that comes with it, the
Yeah.
paintings. So it's like it's a big bucket of nostalgia, just like
Yes.
being poured
And-
on your head.
It's more sad in hindsight than when the game first came out, because now we know the split timeline happened, right? We know that Link no longer exists in that timeline, which is why
Yeah.
things went wrong, and we know that he lamented not being remembered as a hero and everything, even though in the Wind Waker timeline, like
That's a good point.
he was remembered as a hero in that timeline.
Yeah.
know, Makes it sadder.
Science.
Science.
We got breaking news. We got a really important comment down here in the chat. Just X says, "Guys, here's an idea for Wind Waker 2. It's called Water Waker. Have it be like the Oracle Ages and Oracle of the Seasons."
All right, a link between waters. Here we go.
Yes.
Oh no.
All right. Nice.
Oh.
Alright, I guess we can move on to the next one. We can try to get through it a little bit quicker. So, what I do want to mention is Gus in the chat as a Patreon supporter.
Mhm.
Whenever we do the mailbag, he's
Yeah.
briefly going to be brought on.
Okay.
And we are going to be asking him
Whoa.
a set of
Okay.
questions. Alright,
Cool.
so just like the last top 5, this one, 5 ways to improve the next Zelda game, is going to get its own intro. So as soon as everybody's ready.
Sure.
I'm ready.
Alright, what's up everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse as some of you all may know me, and today we're going to be discussing the top 5, maybe 10 ways to improve the next Zelda game to try to make it one step above Breath of the Wild, if that's even possible. Joining Daniel and I for this conversation is Mandy and Axel.
Hello.
He's pointing at
Oh.
them right now.
Yeah.
Mandy, you have your own YouTube channel. If people wanted to go check that out, where could they go?
My channel is MandyleePlays, and my Twitter is at MandyleePlays, so you could check that out too.
Alright, and Axel the Frog.
What,
Where, where could people find you?
I am just AxleTheBeast on YouTube, as well as either AxleTheBeast or AxleTheWilder on Twitter and like Facebook and things like that.
Awesome. So, starting us off this time, let's go with you, Axel.
Well, I was dumb because I already kind of gave my answer earlier on our recording on the podcast, but
you
to reiterate, I guess.
are with your peers.
Okay. Basically, I feel like if we're improving a game after Breath of the Wild, the main thing I want to see is like, so Breath of the Wild was a brilliant game. It was a really open game, but it sort of like was open to the point where it, like, I think detracted from some of the like the interesting exploration of some of the previous Zelda games. What I think it lacks, and what I'd love to see in the next game, is the openness of Breath of the Wild, but like with a little more structure to the game, so you have to make interesting decisions about where to go. So like instead of I can just go to the Gorons, I don't care, I can go anywhere. There's no meaningful decision there. Instead, like you got to get the bombs, or you got to get the power gauntlets, or something like that. Just that idea of like, how do I navigate forward? What am I going to need to do it? What do I need to stock up on? Like, let's say I want to go to the dark lands in the in the Royal Valley or something. I need to go not only get the...
was foretold to Simba.
Yeah. I have to
wherever the light touches.
Yeah. I have to not only get the lamp, but I have to make sure I'm really stocked up on lamp oil. Things like that,
Oh, I hate lamp oil.
But then, like, the other thing, and this is, I think, the one thing that, like, some of the other Zelda games really did better than Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild is actually almost terrible at, granted it's great in other ways. It's, like, its biggest shortcoming is there's no, like, level design, and every time I say that, everyone thinks I mean the dungeons. The dungeons are part of that, but what I actually mean is just the areas themselves. Like, so, in A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, even in Skyward Sword, in fact, Skyward Sword has some of the most of this, but that's also because it's so linear. You just travel, and there's like little challenges. You have to navigate this terrain. You have to solve this kind of puzzle. You have to figure out, okay, how do I get over there? There's enemies that might challenge you in a unique way because of the terrain layout. Just all kinds of things like that. The kinds of level design intrigue that you'd see in any linear game, but you can see them in open world games too. And I feel like Breath of the Wild lacks a lot of that because it asks interesting questions of the player that make you have to make interesting decisions as you're going through the game. So like I remember as soon as I got off the Great Plateau, I was in these ruins and I'm like, okay, what about those ruins? There's nothing to them. I just did the same things I just did in the Great Plateau, What if there were bokoblins that are too powerful for you to fight exploring those ruins? What if you had to climb over the ruins to kind of get over them and get the drop on them? Just things like that, That's what I'd like to see the next Zelda game do. Have Breath of the Wild's openness, but add a little more like the designed areas instead of just open wilderness.
All right. And moving to you, Daniel.
Yeah, well, actually... slight counterpoint to what Axel said. I just remember when I first left the plateau, the first time I was playing Breath of the Wild, I flew off the side, and I landed on Dig Dodge Bridge there.
Right.
And the first enemy off the plateau was like that dark gray Hinox.
Okay.
Who was way too strong for me with 4 hearts, right? And then I had to like kind of root because there was a shrine I wanted to get to, and I wanted to see what else was around there. So I had to like really work around, like climbing around this guy because he killed, like we were talking about earlier, where you see on your replay, like just go and then die and then die, like over and over again. Yeah, so there's a little bit of that. Definitely not as much as other games like Skyward Sword. Twilight Princess, I feel is also lacking that because the whole map is like a loop.
Yeah. With
some areas in it, then there's not really much going on. Other than a few like pose and secrets and heart pieces. But I feel like you need to find that happy medium. Like Skyward Sword, I think, is too far in that direction, and so they were like, let's fix that. And they took it too far in the other direction.
Skyward Sword was like a linear platformer in a Zelda game.
Yeah, and which, like, I before Miss Click hates me, like, I know she's watching, I love Skyward Sword as well for other reasons. Like, it's very, like, both games are very good for different reasons. But yeah, as far as I think fixing, like, or what would improve the next Zelda game, I think I agree that as great as it is to have a boundless world, there are some, especially like on your first playthrough is awesome. Maybe going through my second playthrough, there's less that's interesting about the world. I'm still finding things that I didn't find the first time around. Mostly Koroks that I'm like, oh, I think I missed this last time I was playing through, but I don't remember because there's like 900 of them. So. Yeah, it's oh, Miss Click still loves me. That's good. So yeah, I think you have to find that medium of like what will be even if it's just changing the elevations of the terrain to make it limiting, like how much people are gonna hate me for this, but limiting how much you can climb, for example.
Yeah.
Or adding,
or at least gating the climbing behind what an upgrade that you have to get. Maybe you have to get some cleats or something. I don't know.
You know what? An item they didn't have that I really wanted were like climbing gloves.
Yeah.
That make climb, like there is the climbing gear, like there's a bandana and the climbing gear and the pants, but like climbing gloves that make your climbing like way better, and maybe make it so that rain doesn't affect your climbing.
Yeah.
That would be wicked, but. Yeah, like, with a lot of the old... Okay, you got something here.
we were talking about this on the Phantom Hourglass stream on Zelda Dungeon just a few days ago, actually. What if you made Breath of the Wild, basically, the same kind of gameplay. You made the climbing a lot worse, as in you really can't get up anything that easily as you can in Breath of the Wild. You know, you can't climb up average cliff faces, but you get the grappling hook later in the game. And it's used, not just like it was in the Wind Waker, where you could only do it to posts. You can, any cliff... you can throw it up to the top.
Right. I still think climbing it then would still be barred, like mitigated by your stamina. I'd still like to see that. I actually really like the stamina. I know a lot of people.
No, I agree.
It.
Yeah.
No, but I think having the stamina there and then being able to upgrade it, I think was awesome. But there was something, and now it's gone in my head. It's gone right out of my head. I'm rambling anyway.
I've consumed your point.
You have. No, because you made a really good point. Now I'm thinking about the grappling hook in Phantom Hourglass, because I really liked that. Oh, I think I mentioned in an earlier episode, I loved how in Phantom Hourglass you could put the grappling hook between two things and just slingshot Link. I'd love to see that in a 3D space where you can slingshot Link and then use the paraglider to just that would be hella
awesome.
fun. But I've said enough. I've rambled.
Right.
I don't know where my point is anymore. I've gone on too long.
Mandy, what would you like to see in the next Zelda game?
I would like to see Link as a character. Him talking, him having personality, his own motivations, his own goals. And so overall, just more story elements that are not just, Ganon happen, fuck shit up, and then like go more in detail, have Zelda, have, a story.
Yeah, more character development for Link, not just being the silent hero.
Yeah, because when
I like
they
how
talk
you
about
put it.
When they talk
Ganon
about it,
happened.
Ganon happened. Yeah, like Skyward Sword, I think is the great opposite example.
Yeah.
Link has a lot of character in that game. Skyward Sword and Wind Waker, I feel like, are two games where he has a lot of character, and it doesn't take away from the experience. Link can still be your avatar character, but he can still have a backstory and meaning and motivations of his own.
Yeah,
Skyward Sword is my favorite Zelda game, so...
Represent! Yeah. Same here.
It's not my favorite, but I really enjoy it. I really do like it a lot.
I would say right now, if I were to have the choice to replay any Zelda game, whether it be original or remade in HD, I would pick Skyward Sword. But that may just be because I've played through Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and every other Zelda game so many times that I default to Skyward Sword because it seems like the most fresh and the most new. But with that said, I think the story of Skyward Sword is better than any of the others.
Yeah, it's one of the best stories. And there's only one thing that hugely bothers me about Skyward Sword. It is such a minor thing, but to me it is like the biggest pet peeve. It's not the pumpkin soup, it's the fact that you need the medallion to actually have full 2 rows of hearts. There's like so you don't actually get that final 4 heart pieces. You need like that medallion that gives you an extra heart. Otherwise, you'll be missing one if you don't have. And it's just like
objective worst flaw in Skyward Sword.
Yeah, honestly, it kills me. I hate it.
It's like Breath of the Wild when it leaves out like you can either get this much stamina or this much hearts, and then the DLC comes out and you're like, oh, there's a lot more shrines. I'll be able to fill it up. Nope.
Yeah. No, the same thing actually. If I had to choose, I always go for full 2 rows of hearts because I feel like I've missed something otherwise. I can live without corner of my stamina wheel, but that's
It's not always on screen tormenting you.
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. The Skyward Sword, the medallion thing, it just like kills me. I'm like, why? Why not just put more heart pieces in the game?
Right. I
would.
Sorry, what?
You go ahead.
No,
I would just add one thing. I think Breath of the Wild, or I think Skyward Sword definitely has one of the best stories. I actually think you can argue that Majora's Mask is pretty equal to it, but only because it tells a very different kind of story. So Skyward Sword is like a plot and events kind of driven story. Majora's Mask is character driven. You don't necessarily care about the main plot as much as say Skyward Sword, but you'll learn about all these people. All these people in the world tie strongly into the theme of the game. So I feel like you have the plot-driven best Zelda story, which is Skyward Sword, the best character-driven Zelda story, which is Majora's Mask, and I know everyone hates me saying this. I would say Breath of the Wild also goes up there because it has the best world-building of any Zelda story.
I agree with that. There's so much in Breath of the Wild that's like hints at the even you see some ruins and it's like these are a hint at like how much this world was thriving before this event happened.
And not even just that, lots of NPCs constantly discuss like what's been going on since the calamity. There's like a huge picture of what the world actually is and how it actually works. There's constant discussion of what their lives are like, which I think is something that is missing in other games. But yeah,
I agree. And that's the thing is with Breath of the Wild, you see that how the Great Calamity happened and the whole world was was greatly affected except for Hateno Village, which is even a point. Like if people are talking, oh, this is the only place that wasn't really affected by this.
Yeah. But even then, you have that huge reveal of the fort that was destroyed by Guardians leading to Hateno, where Link fell.
Yeah, and that world building is huge and amazing, and then people talk about it, and other Zelda games I don't hate these games, guys, but they like Twilight Princess, for example. All this stuff is going on in the world. Ganondorf is running amok. There's this Twilight invasion, and it doesn't seem to affect any of the NPCs. They're just running around like the market, like they don't care. They're not bothered by this, even though it's happening like 100 feet from them. Ocarina of Time, there's a lot of points in Ocarina of Time where it's like, okay, the Gorons are upset, the Zora's Domain is frozen, sure, but then like Hyrule Castle market is destroyed. Yeah. Everyone moved to Kakariko Village, and they're fine. they're just nothing. They're not talking about this horrible thing that happened. Yeah.
Anyway,
what you said is good, Jesse. I think you're gonna fall asleep. You better say something.
No, I was debating in my head. So my original idea was traditional dungeons, but I assumed one of you guys would have said that first. So then I thought
supposed to be included in my level design thing, but yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I started thinking, well, what's a way that I could have traditional dungeons without actually saying it?
Okay. That's
no, because what I was thinking was like a larger variety of enemies. Like have dark nuts and other stuff in Breath of the Wild instead of, hey, it's a fire Lizalfos. No, it's an electric Lizalfos. It's the same thing, just character swapped. So what I was thinking is the way to have the different enemies and the different types of dungeons would be, and like this is a way to have like both in one, is just to say more diversity. Because that could apply to enemies, weapons, dungeons, everything.
Definitely.
So I would say that. And I would almost... I was debating because I was going to go with that, but then I was thinking, well, what really stood out to me was there were no lively cities or towns in Breath of the Wild. Like you go to when you think of Majora's Mask, you think of Clock Town.
Bustling town.
Because
I see what you're saying.
Everyone's doing something. If you think of Skyward Sword, you think of Skyloft. If you think of Twilight Princess, you think of like Ordon Village or Hyrule Castle Town. If you think of all these places. But when you think of Breath of the Wild, there's nothing that really stands out. Like there's Zora's Domain, but just not really as nice as it looks. There's nothing really going
Gerudo
on.
Town. Gerudo Town's the best village
Yeah.
in Breath of the Wild. It's like, that's the hustling, bustling.
It's the only
Town.
one I haven't gotten to yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. It's,
Read the
Gerudo Town.
diaries. You might find something interesting if you read the diaries. A tidbit hint at something or someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering. I've played this game a couple times. I'm wondering what you're talking about.
It has to do with fairies. Maybe. Fairy lovers. Yeah. So
What?
there's a diary in Gerudo Town. When you read it, one of the pages, a lot of people take it as it hints towards Tingle, because it talks about a fairy or like a wannabe fairy boy or something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't say like Tingle, it just mentions, I'm not sure, but I think it mentions something about like an annoying adult who is obsessed with fairies or likes fairies or something
Awesome.
like that.
I love that.
But Tingle is nowhere in the game. There is,
and
I'd
that
like
is
to
why
see
Breath of the
Tingle.
Wild is the worst Zelda game. I
Yeah.
mean, what? Huh?
so like Tingle's nowhere in the game, but then like the book does hint towards
That's cool.
Tingle.
That's cool.
Yeah. But anyways, what was I saying? So diversity, but then like I want a lively city. Like, one of the biggest regrets that I always had, or not regrets because it wasn't my fault, it was probably Al Numa, but yes, blame Al Numa. In Breath of the Wild, during some of the cutscenes, it shows you Hyrule Castletown, like this huge
Right.
city, tons
Yeah.
of buildings and houses and crazy architecture, and then you don't get to explore any of that. Like, Nintendo's spent probably months building and perfecting Hyrule Castletown and Breath of the Wild, but it's only visually seen in a cutscene where it's kind of on fire. You can't explore that, even though they took the time to build everything. They built all of it. It's there. Someone might be able to load it up in the code and like let you explore it, but it's locked inside the cutscene for now, and you can't explore any of that. Like, they probably didn't build like the insides of the houses or have NPCs or anything, but like, just the thought that Nintendo worked so hard to build this huge town, but there's nothing that we can do with it. It makes me want something in the next Zelda game even more. Like, I don't want a ruined, destroyed Hyrule. I want Hyrule like it is in Ocarina of Time, or the towns from Termina, or even Twilight Princess. Like, Wind Waker had everything isolated, but even in those isolated islands, there was still a lot of stuff that was going on. Like, if you go to Outset Island or wherever, there's still a lot going on in that one island, whereas Breath of the Wild, it's like everyone, I don't know, like, you see some people wandering around, but they're not really going from one place to another. They're just like randomly appearing and then randomly disappearing if they get like 10 feet away from you.
Well, actually, a lot of them will. They've kind of brought back the time cycle thing a little bit from Majora's Mask, just in the sense is you actually watch them walk to like where they're going at certain times of day. If you stick around, you can actually watch them go to bed and stuff.
That's true. Yeah, like the one that always got me was there's a side quest, the weapon connoisseur. When you find the weapon that the kid wants to see, I would like go back to Hateno Village and like, oh, I'll have to wait because he's sleeping. It's like, and so I just go to my house. I go sleep till noon, because if you wake up in the morning, he'll sleep in. He won't wake up at morning time. It'll take him a couple more minutes.
That's right. I have to get that little bastard fire rod.
Yeah, you gotta show him the fire rod, man. Yeah, no, it's a good side quest that you should start early and just return to when you randomly find the item here and there. But
all right, what's everyone's final thing that we can agree on that they should add?
I think we can all agree on the more traditional dungeons.
Yeah. So give us a fire, water, earth, shadow.
Okay, not necessarily those themes though. Because
Okay, instead of fire, give us lava. Instead of water, give us rain. Instead
the thing is,
of ice, give us
the
snow.
diversity is my point though, because like with most Zeldians, there's a diversity of themed dungeons, right?
Yeah.
In this, all the dungeons were Sheikah technology themed.
Robot with an element.
Yes, elemental robots. Whereas in Skyward Sword, only one dungeon had the theme of robots. Actually, I guess two: Sandship and the Narrow Mining Facility. But yeah,
and then there was
retread.
the Ancient Cistern had like shadow and water.
Yeah,
So
that
that
makes
was
up for it. That's two themes.
That's one of the things I actually liked about that dungeon, even though I actually, and this is controversial too, I think that's one of the weaker dungeons in that game, but thematically it was a huge powerhouse. Like, just gameplay design
Your
wise,
face
is
is
like,
a powerhouse.
thank you.
That's been a while.
Yeah.
Axel
But
stopped.
dropping the
so
ball.
I had to pick it up.
But like say the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time had like
Raincoat.
so many themes. It was like ghosts, forest, kind of like a fort, kind of like a mansion. I think some of the coolest dungeons in the series are ones that don't just have one theme; they have several going on. They bring them together, create something really unique.
All right. All right, going around really quick. What's one thing you would like to see? Starting with me, Loftwing. Now you, Axel.
Come back to me.
All right. Mandy. Just anything.
Loft wing.
2 Loftwings. How do you get better than adding a Loftwing? Add 2.
In Loftwing ski, then, like 1 foot on each one. Just like, I would like to see a really good, not annoying, meaningful companion character.
Tingle. Yeah. He just stays with you the entire game.
I said not annoying.
The entire game. Like instead of Navi just stopping and saying, "Hey, listen," it's Tingle like pecking you on the back, being like, "Hey, do you want me to draw you a picture?"
What if you get a bunch of fairies and you buy them from Tingle?
What?
Ew.
Because he loves fairies, right? So what if like Tingle helps you get different fairies? They each have their own powers and personality.
So like in Phantom Hourglass, the fairies.
Oh yeah.
Quote unquote, yes.
The fairies. They were like the spirits in Phantom Hourglass. But they were fairies.
Multiplayer.
But you could change them. One gave you a fire sword. One gave you the outlined hearts. The other gave you the sword beam.
Yeah.
All right.
I actually did think of one thing.
Okay.
I would like to see an expansion on like the weapon system, because I thought it was really cool. Breath of the Wild like brought back the Wind Waker's idea of you get different weapons. I really love that. Favorite thing about Breath of the Wild: don't have to use a hand sword. I can just have like a big double-handed sword the whole game.
Yeah.
That's been what I've done. But I would love to see like a little more work put into like the different like moves you can do with them. Like, because in the old Zelda games you had the slashes, the horizontal slashes, the vertical slashes, the thrusts, and then you also had the spin attack. Maybe they could make it so you could just do a little more with each of the weapons, and maybe mix and match. Like, instead of just having like 2 or 3 categories of weapon, and every weapon in that category has the exact same moves, they could just expand it a little bit.
Yeah, and like ones that are two-handed but like heavier, or like say you've got the woodcutter's axe is probably not that heavy, so it should be a little bit faster than say like like those Goron weapons like the Stone Smasher is probably really heavy. Let's
say you can do like with the wood axe, because it is probably lighter, like you said. You can do a quick swing, or you can like hold the button to really wind it up, because when you use an axe, you can really give it a swing. So things like that, little touches to make it a little more unique to use every weapon, and give you a little more like options on how to fight with them.
Yeah,
probably beyond that.
I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again.
I would
Tingle.
like
no. Yes. I just want the Master Sword to not have to recharge its battery, for one thing. But also like the champion weapons you get. Like, we talked about finding them in the dungeons themselves and having them as permanent fixtures that won't break. You know, just like then like sure you have all these different interesting weapons that you have, but then you can find these ones that are really powerful, and those are sort of almost in place of items that you'd find in dungeons. You get like Yeah, and then they're different styles. You have a one-handed sword and shield, and like Urbosa's weapons. You have a spear. You've got a heavy two-handed weapon and a bow, right? So I think that would be nice to have, because those weapons are cool, but then I never use them because I don't want to break them, right? Because I'm like, oh, these are one of a kind. You can replace them, but that's boring. I
just put Mifa's trident in my house. It's framed there. I refuse to use it.
No, that's what I do too. Is I put them in my house in Potato Village.
Well, I don't care about the others. I've broken the Goron one already.
Okay.
It's just Mifa.
Just Mifa's.
Mifa,
I just
champion,
put him as a
best
gallery.
champion.
But that's the same thing. The Hylian shield in Skyward Sword, the shields were destructible, and they carried that over to Breath of the Wild with all of the weapons, right?
Yeah.
Sort of merging the idea of Wind Waker's weapons.
If they continue, your boots will be destructible in the next Zelda game.
Please no.
Don't walk too long or your boots will break.
And then walking will hurt you.
Like when Link kicks a chest open, it'll like actually take a heart off.
He actually has an animation if you don't have pants on.
It'll hurt him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I would like to see those as a permanent fixture, much like the Master Sword, but maybe without. Even if you had to recharge them, honestly, I don't know.
All right.
I do not. And the Hylian shield was indestructible in Skyward Sword, where every other shield wasn't. Why not that same thing in Breath of the Wild?
No.
I ask.
Gameplay.
Good answer.
Right. Yeah. Gameplay.
Let's. For the last one, I'm just going to say multiplayer. If they get it right.
Found about right. It's some tight multiplayer.
I mean, there's Triforce Hero.
Yeah.
Stuff.
All right.
Zelda MMO. Let's do it.
Zelda
Let's have it.
All right.
I'm serious.
Let me just call it Miyamoto. As soon as this is off.
Text him. Just text him.
And then Miyamoto.
Just text Miyamoto now.
He says your pizza will be ready in 20 minutes.
All right. There's pizza too.
All right. So this is our final piece. So everyone, so we're not waiting around for people to pick out their questions, go through the YouTube, the Discord, the Twitter questions, and pick out whatever question you may want to answer. Of course, we will all give our answers for the questions, but let's see here.
None of our patrons submit a question this week?
There was something that kind of happened.
Huh? What?
Alright.
What?
Yeah.
I'm confused now.
I was trying to do something new.
Oh, right, with the bit of a reversal there.
Yeah. So, if we can do this and add one of the Patreon supporters in, add people to this call. So, Gus. Wait, which one?
Gustavo.
I assume it's this one. Yeah. Is this him?
Ooh. You're blocking your own face. We didn't need Jesse's face in the stream there.
Here, I'll cover up my face.
Are you there, Gus?
I am here.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh, my camera doesn't go in. Can you see me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Wait, no, sorry, I can't.
Nope. I
can't. I was just gonna smile and nod, but no.
That was a lie. I'm sorry.
I see Taboo, and that's all I see.
Yeah, I see Taboo as well.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Your video, it doesn't need to be on if you don't want to.
There we go.
Is there?
There
is
you
this
are.
a lewd video,
Yes.
Gus? Because that's Taboo.
I still see Taboo, but he's
really?
moving now.
Oh.
Alright, so this goes for you as well, Gus. Pick out. Well, I guess you don't have it.
No, I don't have it.
Okay, so let's post this in here. Alright, on the Skype, there should be a document. You can click on it, scroll to the bottom, look through all of the questions, pick out one. That way, whenever we get to you, you can go ahead and answer. Alright, and if everybody's ready, I will go ahead and do the intro.
I'm ready.
Yep.
Alright. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as some of y'all may know me, here with, for the first time on the Zelda mailbag, MandyleePlays, and returning AxleTheBeast, and also for the first time ever, Gus. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Gus.
I'm bad introducing myself, but my name is Gustavo Calvo, or Gus for short. I have a blog with my own same name, just easy to remember, I guess. And I'm restarting to do my YouTube channel as well my Twitch, and I love enjoying cosplay and going to comic book conventions. That's it.
Alright, awesome.
Cool.
And
Gus, would we see you at E3?
Oh no, I'm in Florida right now.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, well, this is the Zelda mailbag, where you can submit your Zelda, Nintendo, whatever video game related questions you might have to have them answered on the podcast. If we get too many questions like we did this time, then you can head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where for $1 and up you can have your question guaranteed to be answered, but you can also get other cool stuff, just as Gus got this time, being on the podcast answering the questions alongside us. Today we have AxleTheBeast, who I would say is known for his own Zelda mailbag.
Yep.
Which is going to be moving from the Zelda Dungeon YouTube channel to the AxleTheBeast channel.
We
We lost
Gus's
Gus.
video.
Wait, it's my camera. My cat moved the cord.
Oh no.
How dare that cat?
Alright, well,
I fixed it.
let's see here. Going with our first question of the mailbag, it is from the champion of Morrowind, who asks, would you like Nintendo to make Breath of the Wild a complete reboot to the Zelda timeline? They could make Zelda a much more lore-heavy franchise and not have certain games contradict each other lore-wise. Now, Mandy, earlier you were saying this is exactly what you wanted.
Yeah.
For Breath of the Wild to be a reboot. I hope I didn't steal your question by taking that one. I imagine...
Still looking through them.
Alright, so...
That just means she gets to answer more ones that she
Yeah.
wants.
So, Axel, starting with you, since you are all the way over on the left for me, what are your thoughts on this? Should Breath of the Wild be a brand new start of the timeline?
So the timeline whole thing is, how do I put this?
Delicately.
Delicately, yeah. Very carefully. For me, the timeline has never mattered a lot. I feel like a lot of the games are never like very focused on it. Like, it's complicated because like almost every game in the series does actually reference another game. Like, a huge amount of them do. But at the same time, in regards to the general series, it doesn't care that much. And I feel like the timeline's been made a lot more complicated than it had to be. I think the whole timeline split thing was totally unnecessary. I think the third timeline they added with the Hyrule story stuff was completely like superfluous. I think they easily could have just fit everything into one timeline if they just like explained a couple of the missing details, because I feel like that's all you really have. There's missing details between games. There's not really humongous contradictions, at least not ones that can't be easily explained. So my feeling on the timeline is, yeah, they could reboot it. I don't necessarily care. They could keep what they have. I don't necessarily care. I just feel like they're overcomplicating it more than it needs to be. That's my outlook on it.
All right.
It could be very simple, and it's just not.
All right, and
So-
Mandy, why do you feel the Breath of the Wild timeline should be a reboot?
Because I want more like structured story, and all these different timelines is like, it doesn't give it like a lore, like kind of like it gives it a universe, but not like a like. I just want the story to be fleshed out more, so
Right.
you can't have timelines in like like that, or at least not like all the games is a different timeline.
Yeah, and Nintendo has mentioned that with the timeline and games being set in a specific order, it limits what they can do, because they might want to have a game like put somewhere that references one thing, but because it references Wind Waker, they can't necessarily let it also reference Twilight Princess. So
Which,
they're
by the way,
stuck.
would be solved if they put them all linearly.
Yeah, so they have it so that they're limited to where, like, oh, we can reference the flood, but if we do that, we can't reference Link turning into a wolf. So,
Right.
Yeah.
like, they're stuck creatively, which is a problem in some occasions, I guess. But next, Gus, what are your thoughts on this? Should Breath of the Wild be the start of a brand new timeline?
I was thinking about it a while ago, but not necessarily, because there's already so much lore incorporated into the Zelda cosmology that at the end I think it could be more of a unified timeline than anything else.
Yeah.
All right, and what about
It would
you?
be
Sorry, Axel?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it would be kind of sad to lose everything that's been built up at the same time.
Yeah.
True.
It's pros and cons, I guess.
And what about you, Daniel?
I'm half in agreement. I think that the main split in the timeline is necessary, the adult and child timeline, just because of the way that the time travel is built in the game. You have to kind of have that split because you can't. It's hard to have both Twilight Princess and Wind Waker occur around the same time or after as a sequel for Ocarina of Time. But that does put Nintendo in a box creatively, especially with the classic games, Link to the Past, the original Zeldas and everything, which I think is why they ended up just making a third timeline split, which drives me nuts. I really don't like the Link failed split, because it's like, no, that's not like a timeline, that's that game over screen.
Cop out timeline.
You know, yeah. So because I always felt like as a kid I would playing Link to the Past and then Ocarina of Time, knowing the backstory of Link to the Past, it's like, okay, this game is a prequel to Link to the Past. But then when Wind Waker comes out, it's like, okay, well, where does this other game fit in, right? But there's too much conflict to it, in my opinion, for it all to be one linear timeline. We've talked about the linearist and splitists factions of Zelda theorists back in before we had Hyrule Historia. Yeah, I don't. It's very complicated overall. I think it is inconsequential to the games individually because that's not what the games are built around. They're built around the experience and gameplay mechanics and things like that. And the story is more of an afterthought from a game design standpoint. But it is
with
fun.
Skyward Sword, oddly.
Oh, yeah. That one kind of was the exception where they were like, we're going to make the first game. That's what we're doing. And that game also was good from, for its own reasons. But, they put themselves in a box by doing that, right? So, I don't know. It's a tough call. Like, it's kind of a balancing act. I still want to have a timeline. I still like the Dragon Break idea for Breath of the Wild as far as where it could fit because they were trying to work outside that box. There's those contradicting things, right? But overall, I'm fine either way, I guess. Like when we didn't have an official timeline, I wasn't like, rawr, Nintendo, screw you, you hate me, me personally. But I wasn't, when it was released, I wasn't like throwing the book against the wall raging about it because it didn't fit with my own personal theories either. So it's overall, it's kind of inconsequential, but it's still fun to theorize about. And still, I think, part of what drives the community, because the Zelda community, they love to look into all those details and everything, right? They love to pick apart the detaels.
It'd be really funny if Nintendo does reboot the timeline with Breath of the Wild, but like never says that's what they're doing ever. So like everyone spends the rest of time arguing about it.
Yeah, every single game to
I
come
wouldn't put
out.
it past them.
Every single game to come out after Breath of the Wild continues to reference all three timelines.
I wouldn't put it past them because like it took them 25 years to officially release the original timeline.
No, there was all the interviews where Miyamoto said there was a document in his desk with all of them organized, but I think that was just a lie.
I'm pretty sure.
But the thing is, I think he would get the games, like, the finished products, he'd play it, and then just, like, tuck it in there. You know, like, and he'd be like, yeah, it goes here, and just slip it in. And, like, you know what I mean? I don't think because they did not design the games around where is it going to fit in the timeline.
Yeah.
Like, 100% it was an afterthought. In another video, I made a joke about, like, kind of a visual joke about, like, a dartboard with all the Zelda games on it, and then it's, like, Nintendo choosing the next Zelda game's timeline placement, and then just hucking a dart on the dartboard.
Axel, did you notice you have a fan in the chat?
Uh-oh.
Someone is OMGing because you were on the live stream.
Oh,
Yes, Axel!
is this someone who didn't know I came back?
This is Mars227. Does that mean anything to you, Axel?
It sounds familiar.
Where were you on March 27, 2002?
Alright. Mandy, do you have your question picked out?
Yeah.
Alright.
Hold on a second. It's by Tevi Bear, and he or she asks, what is your favorite incarnation of Zelda in terms of character design, etc.?
Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword.
Zelda.
Breath of the Wild.
That's a good one.
She had
Too.
voice
Even
acting.
though Skyward Sword's your
Good
favorite
point.
Zelda game?
But the Skyward Sword one had voice acting too. She sung.
Oh, that's true. Okay, true. I'm gonna go a way different direction. Spirit
Okay.
Tracks Zelda.
Yeah.
What?
I really like her. She's a great companion character. She actually has like an arc in the game. Like she has a character arc where she's like terrified of everything at the beginning of the game. She toughens up throughout
Yeah.
it, and you know she actually helps you. Like yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed that that interaction.
Alright, what about you, Gus? Who's your favorite Zelda?
Link's Awakening. That will be the one. Then Majora's Mask will be the other one.
No, your favorite
Oh, the companion.
incarnation of Zelda.
The character.
Incarnation of Zelda.
Yeah.
I think I will agree with Mandy. The one in Skyward Sword, I think that's one of the best ones.
Oh, she
I
said
did-
Breath of the Wild. We said
Ah! I got
It's okay.
distracted. I haven't thought about it, to be honest.
Most of the Zeldas work really well for the game they're in.
Except
Yeah,
Twilight Princess Zelda. She doesn't really do much.
she seems mean.
Well, no,
She
but
doesn't
she's,
do it for me.
she's like the ethereal, beautiful princess you barely get to see. Like every game hints at, like in Ocarina of Time, when you hear about Princess Zelda, it's like, oh, it's the princess in the castle. I wonder if she's as beautiful as they say. It's like
She's
that
like 11.
Yeah, right.
That will be the
like-
one in Link's Adventure. She doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but in Twilight Princess, it's like they realize that idea, the princess you barely get to see, but is everyone talks about
Yeah.
her kind of.
No, I do like her. She's like that strong matriarch character.
Yeah.
But I just they underuse her. That's my issue.
Well, that's
I like
because
her
it was
character,
about Twilight Princess. It's called Twilight Princess.
Not
Yeah,
Hyrule
but
Princess.
They tease, okay. the
Yeah,
thing is
it's
they
not the
tease
white
it.
princess.
They tease it as that being her. Like the
Yeah.
trailers, everything it builds up, and you're thinking that she's the Twilight Princess. Midna actually calls her Twilight Princess.
I know. Yeah, they're
As like a mislead. So if they continued on with it, it's like this great misdirection, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, it was actually Midna was the Twilight
Yeah.
Princess.
So are we
Oh.
saying that Zelda is the Zant of the women of the game?
the
will say
cop out?
No, I'm going back and forth. Mandy picking Breath of the Wild Zelda. Like, I feel it's the Zelda, or the version of Zelda that has the most character development.
Yeah.
Because she's actually struggling at the beginning to unlock her powers, whereas the rest just already have it, kind of.
Can I go back and change my answer? Because
Uh,
I just
2 milkshakes.
all right. I'll bring it with me to LA when I go see you. Tetra is the best, hands down. I love Tetra.
That's not
Good
She's
point.
got it. She is Zelda.
Yeah,
and
but that's-
she's like this awesome, tough pirate character. She's the boss of all these guys, and she comes in. She
She's also
kind
a
of gets
huge
you into this
dirtbag.
mess. She is, but that's the thing is like all these Zeldas, all of them are princesses. You know, they're all very
she's
like
a pirate princess.
she's a pirate, but that turns out to be a princess, and she's kind of mixed up in this whole mess. but she's as feisty a character as any of the other pirates, and she has her own motivations at the start of the game as well.
To find the Dragon Balls.
Not bring
Sure.
that back.
That's why
Okay.
she's sailing around the globe to find the Dragon Balls.
You know, they never say it, but it could be.
Well,
Could be. They don't not say it either.
how
Did
many?
you actually get a Dragon Ball in that game, though?
How many? Yes, you get the goddess pearls that you have to.
Yeah. In's Pearl, yeah.
How many?
You get a Dragon Ball and a Tree Ball and a Whale Ball.
How many? How many? How many pieces of the Triforce are there to find? Are there 7? Because
In
there's
Wind
7 Dragon Balls.
There's 8.
I think it's
shards
8.
of the Triforce.
It's 8. Is that Wind Waker or HD?
Oh, I was thinking of OG Wind Waker as 8. I don't know how many are in Wind
Because
Waker
they
HD.
shortened the Triforce quest. And
That's lame.
You know what? People hate that the Triforce finding quest. I actually really like it
I do.
because you're exploring the world, like, and very.
Right.
I don't know.
really like.
I would say that too. Like and people hate me for this. I don't think the Wind Waker has a compelling overworld. I think it like had a lot of good ideas and it just fell flat on delivering them. I feel like the one time in the game where I really feel like I'm adventuring. I have to like figure out where I gotta go. What do I gotta find? You know, it's the Triforce quest. That's the first time I'm like really actively using the overworld and doing interesting things in it in the game.
Yes. No, I agree, and that's where the overworld comes to fruition as an interesting part of the game. Whereas it's very much like just go to point A to point B in the rest of the game, and then once you get to this part of the world, it's like, okay, now you have to explore the world. You have to find all these things, like all these charts and everything, and decode them. And no, it's
Oh my
it's
god,
good.
did any of you complete the figurine quest on the Wind Waker?
no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one part I can never finish. I can't do all the.
I
figurines.
never 100% any Zelda games. So.
Oh, I never finished that one.
Yeah.
I explored, but I never took all the pictograms. That was way too much.
That's too
Yeah.
much. No, that one is.
Alright.
It's the pictographs and fishing are the ones that I never finished.
Yeah.
Alright, Gus, would you like to go ahead and read off the question that you picked?
I do. The one that I choose is from Memphis Husbando. I don't know if you guys already read that one.
No.
Oh, okay. It's from the Discord also.
Okay.
This one is for Jesse and from Daniel. Would you guys like to see a Zelda game that shows more of Link's home life with his family?
Okay. Yeah. So examples: Link lives in a village, and then Ganon. Yeah, we get to see this a little bit already in Twilight Princess and Wind Waker and Skyward Sword. Actually, you know, you see.
I mean, his family's dead in
Yeah.
half those games, but
Yeah, no, for sure. But well, like Wind Waker,
His home life,
there's his
though.
grandma and his sister. But yeah, no, more his home life in the village he grows up with, and the.
What was the one theory that Link was Ganondorf's son?
Oh, stop! No. The theory that makes me cringe.
His red hair is a dead giveaway.
Then a lot of people theorize that in Breath of the Wild, like before it came out, there were theories about that going on too, because Link had Gerudo-like designs on his armbands, and so suddenly that meant that Ganondorf was Link's father. These were real theories that existed, guys.
But there's no Ganondorf in Breath of the Wild.
I know. Well, this was pre-release though that these theories were going out.
Yeah,
right?
fair enough.
But it still is like people will take the tiniest detail and grasp at straws with it. You know, just
Yeah.
oh.
But to to get back to the question, I would like to see
Yes.
it. Like we seen Link's sister and grandmother in Wind Waker. We seen his uncle for like a few seconds, and A
Before
Link
he
to the
dies.
Past. We see like a cutscene, or like there's a cutscene where his mom is mentioned in Ocarina of Time. Twilight
Briefly.
Princess has the hero of time as like his grandpappy.
Yeah. But you see his whole village in Twilight Princess. You know, the people that are like his
Yeah.
family, quote unquote. Like not his biological family per se, but the people he grew up with and that he lives around and helps around, helps them with their problems and works on the farm and everything, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm putting
Yeah.
this to sleep every time I
it's,
talk.
it's anything that would add more character development to Link.
Yeah.
To flesh out his character, I would enjoy that. What about you, Mandy?
Yeah, I would enjoy that too.
All right. And what are your thoughts on this, Gus?
Uh,
Do you want to see Link's family?
a part of me, yes. The other part, no. Because I'd like to go and explore the open world, but then the other part, when I think that seeing Link's family, I think that it could be more like a crossbreed between Animal Crossing or some strange introduction scene. Oh my god, Mephisto, wait a... Oh, it's my cat. He's just wanting attention.
I want to see your cat, but your camera's off.
Oh, one moment.
I want to see the cat.
I'll place it. Let me just plug it. He left me alone for one moment.
Kitty podcast.
My issue also is that whenever we have a game that does, the more they show his home life, the more the beginning of the game drags. The longer the tutorial section.
The easy solution to that is to do the Majora's Mask model where you have a place you go back to. Ah, great cat.
Oh, I want it.
All yours. He acts like a dog also.
Good boy.
Go.
I love cats too much.
Let's see here. Sorry, wait, you were going to continue the question. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm the only one who didn't say anything yet. Yeah. I'll make it brief, but I feel like the orphan situation is a recurring thing in the Zelda games to one extent or another. If Link has a family, it's like a partial family, like he's being raised by his grandmother. I think they use that as an excuse to just throw you out in the world, kind of like you guys were getting at. But you can still have an abrupt or a brief intro that deals with that, or do the Majora's Mask thing where you have a place you come back to and you keep interacting with your family. I think part of the reason they do it is so they don't have the obvious question of, okay, so why is the young boy going out to save the kingdom instead of his perfectly healthy, strong dad, or something like that? The functioning adults kind of situation.
Yeah. Well, they could do something where they Ocarina of Time begins with the Deku tree being poisoned. So what if it's the father's poisoned? So then, yeah. There's always plot devices they could throw in there.
Yeah, but I would say that as much as I feel like that the orphan thing is useful to the story, and I don't really care one way or the other. I'm fine with that trope, if you know what I mean. They could keep it for all I care. But there's also interesting opportunities if you do include more of his family, or if not his actual family, maybe other characters that form similar roles, like friends from his home village, etc. Because there was one thing that I thought would have been really cool in Skyward Sword is if you didn't. I mean, as much as I was just talking about, I love the demise build up to the demise fight. I thought it'd be really sweet if after Link is a lazy kid in the academy at the beginning of Skyward Sword. They make clear he's
really relate to him.
Yeah, he's basically a nobody kind of. That's part of his character. What if at the end of the game, what if they played that up? What if Groose was considered the hero of Skyloft, right? And at the end of the game, you go to fight Demise, and he takes you to Skyloft, or goes to Skyloft himself, either to destroy it, to teach you a lesson or something, or maybe he takes you there because he wants all your loved ones to see you die or something like that. So you fight the Demon King in front of your family.
Well, when you said that, I
like that.
I just imagined him taking, Demise taking Link to Skyloft, and it's now your family's gonna see you die, and it's I don't have any.
Joke's on you, buddy.
So Demise just walks away.
He's well, all right, you win. I guess I was wrong about you, kid.
Anyway, that's
all right.
No, I like that idea a lot, actually.
Yeah, Axel, pick out our next question.
Well, I was debating on if this one was too ridiculous, or well, not ridiculous, but
can you give us a snazzy intro?
Okay. Well, hey there, guys. I'm AxleTheBeast, and this is Game Over Jesse, and I've been given one question to ask, and I'm going to give it some pizzazz. If you know, I'm not going to make this is my one thing, and I'm going to make it as much my thing as possible. So,
10%.
We've asked a lot, answered a lot of interesting questions. So let's get something simple. Let's do something that's just like, yeah, okay. So we got Rivali's waifu, or Ashley, asks, who is your video game character crush? Everyone go.
Sidon.
Sidon.
I will be quiet. I'm not saying anything about ravioli.
You have to say something, guys.
Ravioli.
That was my lunch, by the way, also.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Delicious.
Oh.
And it's not Zelda limited, I noticed.
Oh, no.
I would say, if we go with Zelda characters, I would say Zelda from Skyward Sword.
Oh, yeah.
Because Twilight Princess Zelda seems like she would beat me up. Yeah. What about you, Mandy? You've been quiet for a bit. Who is your video game crush?
Link.
Link. Any particular one?
I kind of like the design of Breath of the Wild, Link, and then the other one would be Skyward Sword, and then Twilight Princess.
All the Links.
Okay, but I was gonna say, Jesse staged your answer.
Oh.
So now we have to ask you the real question. Would you pick a Link? Or would you pick all of the Links?
Oh.
Like, imagine you're like the Bachelorette, right? And you gotta give out your roses, and all of them, all the Links.
And you can pick as many as you want.
You have to eliminate at least one.
I would like Breath of the Wild Link.
Well, at least you didn't pick the Wind Waker Link. We'd have to call the police.
he's like 10 years old. You can't pick him.
Well, maybe he's like 20. You don't know. It's an art style.
No, he's actually like 10 years old though. I'm pretty sure it's just like
All right.
pretty.
Gus, which video game character was your or is your crush?
He's scared.
I never talk about that, and not that I'm in fear.
Alright, well, we can come back to you. Axel,
Okay.
do you want to go?
I will be in the corner.
So, you were asking me?
Yeah, who is your video game crush and why is it a fish?
A long time ago, I was watching clips of Devil May Cry 4, and there's a sequence when you get to this ice area where there's these demons that are like freezing over the castle, and they're basically like sexy ladies, but they're like jellyfish things. And
I was
just
talking
really...
about Mifa.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
but I'm saying that's where it comes from.
Oh, okay.
Ever
Your
since
love
that
for fish?
yeah, so ever since that, like, fish and girls for some reason is a thing for me, So Mifa, yeah.
Alright. And you? Did he shrink down? Daniel?
Oh, it's Sidon. Everyone knows that I love Sidon. He is not only hunky,
Because
but
of that cartoon?
no, that cartoon just like confirmed it for me. I already knew though, but no, you know what? He's not only is he hunky, but he's also a very supportive person. You know, he's kind. He believes in you. He supports you. He helps you, and he's like, you're my best friend, and you're the most wonderful person I know. And he's just very. I just love him. I'm a person that needs that support. Okay. So that's why I choose the fish man.
Okay. So we have
Gone the opposite way.
Zelda, Link, Fishman, Fish Girl.
I'll
Yeah.
choose Daruk.
Daruk.
Yes.
Nice.
Big, strong, tall, and he doesn't question when you ask him something.
Yeah, Daruk seems like
Daruk is good.
he seems like the most lovable. Like he
If I had to choose someone to sit down and have a beer with, I'd choose Daruk.
So-
Like,
Alright.
So real talk, let's face it, of the champions, Urbosa's the mom of the group, and Daruk is the dad of the group.
oh yeah,
No question.
100%.
Like, everyone else is just like, I don't know what to do. And there's like, well, let's champions, get to your divine beasts.
Yeah.
Let's show that swirling swine who's boss.
That's actually a pretty good impression.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. All right, so Daniel, you have the honor of picking our very last question from the list of questions we have, and we will pick one final question from the live chat. So everybody in the live chat, go ahead, comment your question, and if it's good, it'll get picked.
Woo.
Unless there's another good question, then we might pick that
All
one.
right. Well, this question comes from Twitter. Thomas Armstrong asks, do you think they will tie in Zelda or other franchises to Nintendo Labo? I'm thinking a Hylian shield and bow sort of set. Or will they leave that to the fans using Toy-Con Garage? So, I kind of think so, because we saw things like in Nintendo Land, for example. There was like the Battle Quest minigame that was like Zelda tie-in. That was really cool. Motion control based. I don't see why not. It would be really cool to build a little cardboard sword and shield, and
Your face is a cardboard sword and shield.
That one was a little hard.
That one was actually. But what do you guys think? Cardboard
think,
Zelda.
I like what you said about Nintendo Land, because I was thinking on the Wii they went with the Wii Sports. That's what I was thinking, is the Wii Sports stuff. And then with the Wii U, instead of bringing back Wii Sports, they made Nintendo Land to show off all of the system features.
Yeah.
So with the Switch, I look at where Wii Sports didn't necessarily have all of the Nintendo characters, but Nintendo Land did. I see Nintendo Labo as Wii Sports, to where it's just generic games put on something to show off the different features that the Switch can do. And then if it's successful, then they'll tie in different games with it. Like maybe you will get, as Gus mentioned, some form of crossbow training, or we've already seen the fishing pole for Nintendo Labo. Almost,
I know you love your fishing, Jesse.
Zelda games have fishing. Majora's Mask, which did not even have a fishing pond, now has 2. So, and then Wind Waker, that was basically all water, had no real fishing at all.
What are you talking about? You have to fish to get your map.
Wow.
Okay. Well, with that, what about you, Gus?
I never talked too much about the Labo lately. I just see it. I mean it as an overpriced cardboard. I try to think of some of the possibilities, but I'm not too keen of purchasing it when I get a Switch.
Yeah. They should give us a poster.
Yes.
with the cardboard. What are your thoughts on the Nintendo Labo? Mandy, sorry.
I mean, if it's successful, they're bound to do something with Zelda.
Yeah.
I'm not into the Labo, but to those who are, I think they're gonna do something.
Alright, well, Mandy, would you like to go through the live chat, if you have it open, and pick out our final question?
Oh, hold up.
It's the final question.
Yeah.
Do-do-do-do.
Hey people, donate money. We will send you a copy of Daniel Remix of the final countdown.
Yeah. Who was in the chat earlier saying it was the Canadian remix?
I think that was Miss Click.
Yeah, I think so.
Thought so.
Hold up. What do you want in the next Zelda game?
Oh, and who's that from?
Go Girl.
Go Girl. Alright.
Ooh,
Tingle.
girl.
We kind of already discussed this, but Gus is here now. So, Gus, what are your hopes for the next Zelda game?
A more cohesive storyline based on what we had on Breath of the Wild. The other part that I want to see is more, maybe a little bit of cyberpunk, since we explore with the beast, with the divine beast that they were, or by themes.
Cyberpunk
we had
Zelda
the-
would be awesome.
And we had the motorcycle. That's the DLC also, but
Yeah, you can feed your motorcycle wood to drive. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I was waiting on someone else to go.
no, I don't really have any. Beyond that, I was thinking
Yeah,
that
so
earlier.
I guess everybody can just kind of recap what they said earlier, if you want, or if you want to say something different. Starting with you, Daniel.
Seven, yeah. I want more enemy types. I know you've talked about that a lot, Jesse, but like with other Zelda games, the different areas don't just have different colored Lizalfos. They have also different, fully different enemies. So I would love to see, you go to the desert and instead of just Lizalfos that are electric and Bokoblins that are normal, I'd like to see levers coming up and P-hats and stuff. And then you go to Death Mountain and there's the Dongos and, those fire guys that spit. I can't remember what they're called. But then there's, you go to Zora's Domain. There's more aquatic, you'll probably Octorocks and different kinds. Just the more...
Like animal-like enemies, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But just more diversity based in, where's the Tech-Tykes? Where's the Dodongos? Where's... these enemies that were kind of, you'd see them in their own habitats, because Breath of the Wild otherwise has had, like you see that already in Breath of the Wild with the vegetation, the plants, mushrooms and stuff like that you'll find growing only in specific regions, but the enemies are kind of just the same everywhere. Yeah. So it'd be nice to see that carry over to what kind of enemies, what kind of monsters you find around.
I want to see the Mogma from Skyward Sword.
Yeah, what happened to them?
Yeah.
I probably will agree with RPG on the chat. That he said that he wants to see a cave system like ridiculously large like the caves in Skyrim. That will be a collaboration also.
Yeah, especially with Link's climbing abilities, you can make some really interesting verticality in those caves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alright. What about you, Axel?
So, like, obviously earlier I talked about stuff. What else would I like to see? I think I'd like to see them... I'd like to see... I mean, I guess I can go a 180 from Gus here. I would like to see them de-emphasize the technology thing and bring back... I mean, they can still do technology, because it's very interesting when they do it sometimes, but, like, I feel like it's been a while since we got a Zelda game that focused almost entirely on fantasy stuff. And I thought that was cool, because, like, way back when, the technology stuff was actually really interesting when it was first introduced in the series. You had, like, the train Spirit Tracks, like, whoa, it's a little steampunk-like, or you had the weird kind of sci-fi-like Twilight stuff in Twilight Princess, like, whoa, this is kind of interesting, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild. At this point, it's like, okay. I feel like getting back to the original, like, kind of like getting back to the base thing, which is fantasy, and then figuring out how to make that interesting with new things spun on it would be kind of good to see in upcoming games.
Oh, there's something that I will hate to see again, the Korok seed. I spent at least 100 days collecting them without the map. That was horrible.
You're not supposed to get all of them, though.
I ended up doing it. I said earlier that I didn't do the pictographs, but I ended up doing the Korok seed. I wanted to see the price, and I didn't got any spoilers. And then when I saw the big poop, I'm like, oh, I waste my time.
All right, and finally with you, Mandy, what?
I would like to just see more people in Zelda games. It's pretty barren. Like, they're always to one area. I like to see them, like, move around.
Yeah.
Like, more busy stuff.
Like Majora's Mask's version of Clocktown?
Yeah, but like in different areas and not just Kakariko.
Yeah, I could go for that.
Yeah, more settlements and them being a little more lively, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to see, like, instead of, let's say someone's name is like Daniel. And then
Who would be named that?
You
Your
see,
face is Daniel.
like at 6 o'clock, like at 6 p.m., you'll see Daniel at Zora's Domain. But then at 8 o'clock, you'll see him like walking to Goron City.
Yeah.
But like instead of just one person doing that, it's like every character, or not every character, but like at least half of the characters have their own set schedule, to where like Majora's Mask was originally supposed to be spread out over 7 days instead of the 3 days, but it was too much for the 64 to handle, so they drew it back to just 3 days, and then everyone has their own schedules. But I feel like on the Nintendo Switch, they could revisit that to where they do the full 7 days. So now it's not just like day 1, day 2, day 3. They could still give them numbers, or they could call it like Monday, Tuesday, or whatever Hyrule's version of that is. And then like on Monday at 8 p.m., because Daniel has a job, he's working like on the fishing boats in Zora's Domain.
Does he have a job though?
He's working on the fishing boats, catching fish, like Monday through Friday. And then on the weekend, you'll see him hanging out in Kakiri Forest or something. And then you'll come across some Goron named Axel, who, like, Monday, like every other day, he is, like, in Hyrule Castletown trying to sell bombs. And then...
Yeah, but then on one day he eats this like killer chili that like you have to do a side quest, and then after you do the side quest, every day after he eats the chili, you just find him in the toilet all the time.
Yeah. So that's
the paper side quest all over again.
That's what I would really
I need
like
paper.
to see. Yeah.
What if like the whole side quest is just helping this one guy kind of get through his life? So it's like a trading sequence. So like once you get him the chili, he's in the bathroom and you need to get him the paper, and you're just like repairing this guy's life.
Oh.
Alright, I think that brings us to the very end of the podcast. So Daniel, for the people that for some reason may not know who you are, who are you, and why should they care about you?
I am Daniel. You shouldn't necessarily care about me, but I appreciate it if you do. I like to do the video stuff, I guess. You can find me here on this podcast every week, except for like 2. And I have my own website called burgersonmedia.com, and you should go check out where I post all the other projects that I work on.
Like
there.
he vlogs about burgers.
Does he?
No, I don't actually. But
that'd be a good one.
It's a running joke.
Yeah, no, I came up with Burgerson because it was legitimately someone just mishearing my last name, and I loved it, and I just kept it forever. Yeah, and you will find me in LA when I go to E3 this summer, so that's just exciting.
Nice.
Woohoo!
Right. And Gus, who are you, and where can people find you?
People can find me on guscalbo.com. I have my own YouTube channel that is still under construction at the moment. And also I tend to be on the chat over here every now and then as one of the mods, as well on Patreon.
Alright. And moving to you, Axel.
I am AxleTheBeast on YouTube, and AxleTheBeast or Axel D. Wilder on most social media like Twitter and Facebook.
Alright. That was very fast. And finally, ending with you, Mandy. Who are you, and why should people care about you?
Hi, my name's Amanda. I just started a YouTube channel, and you can find me on my Twitter at MandyleePlays, or my YouTube channel, which is MandyleePlays. So, yeah.
That's very good that you have it all like synced up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Able to get the same username. Alright, so I guess that's it for episode 23 of the Hylian's Gamescast. Thank you, Axel. Thank you, Gus. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody
Jesse.
who watched.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Jesse's the real hero here.
And all our friends in the chat who've come to sit through all of this somehow.
Say bye,
Some-
everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
We have almost 3 hours, so thank you all for watching. Bye.